Chapter 341. Red Cloud City. It was one of the top 20 cities in the desolate divine region, one of the 36 regions of heaven wilderness. Because there were no top sects or first-class sects in the desolate divine region, many cities in the divine region were extremely prosperous, and Red Cloud City, which was ranked in the top 20, was one of the best. Tsing Hui walked on the street, and at a glance, the quality of the magic weapons and heaven and earth treasures sold in the shops was higher than in Martial Desolate City, and the level of the cultivators was also much higher than in Martial Desolate City. Similarly, the knowledge and vision of the cultivators in Red Cloud City had also improved. When Tsing Hui was strolling in Martial Desolate City, no one could recognize his incarnation technique form, but after walking for a short while in Red Cloud City, it was seen by everyone in Red Cloud City. Along the way, even if his cultivation was only in the awakening realm, he received countless bows and respect. As long as he stayed in front of any shop for a moment, the shop manager and shopkeeper would immediately come to greet him in person. Okay, let's go back. After walking for a while, Ching Su could no longer stand the enthusiasm of the shopkeepers. Only then did he speak to Gong Xing, who was personally leading the group beside him. Yes, senior, this way please. President Gong Xing, you are now the president of a branch in the top 20 cities of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce. I'm afraid you are qualified to participate in the high-level meetings of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce. There is no need to put down the matters at hand and accompany me in person. Just let someone lead the way. Those kids are clumsy, how can they entertain Senior Dong Yang? Besides, although I'm the president, I'm actually just a nobody. I don't have much to do. Since Senior Dong Yang wants to take a stroll in Red Cloud City, as the host, I naturally have to do my part. Tsing Hui shook his head. The high-level figures of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce were not just a nobody like Gong Xing said. It should be known that although the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce was only a chamber of commerce under the Myriad Star sect, it was not inferior to a first-class sect in other aspects, except for the fact that it did not have a powerful figure. In the entire Chamber of Commerce, there were hundreds of Saint Realm experts, and many of them had cultivated the immortal golden core. He was able to sit on the throne of the Yunxia City branch of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce, which had many experts, so one could imagine how powerful he was. Not to mention ordinary true energy realm experts, even experts of the transcendent realm, endless realm, and even those who had cultivated the immortal golden core would sometimes have to curry favor with him and use his channels of the Chamber of Commerce's channels to obtain some rare materials. The two quickly returned to the branch of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce. Tsing Hui was short of time, and he didn't want a waste of time. The consumption of the incarnation technique state was directly related to the cultivator's cultivation, the projection distance, and the duration. Even if he had upgraded the incarnation technique to level 4 and only cast the most basic incarnation, if he stayed in Red Cloud City for 10 days or half a month without leaving, it would still be enough to weaken him for dozens of days. I got a good thing. I hope the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce can sell it for a high price for me. When Gong Xing saw the treasure box Tsing Hui took out, he was slightly startled at first. When he opened the box and saw the blood-red flower inside, he immediately thought of something and couldn't help but get excited. Is this the legendary unfalling flower? It is the unfallen flower. Tsing Hui nodded. Unfalling flower, it's a divine item like the unfalling flower. Gong Xing looked at the bright red flower, his whole body trembling slightly. The unfalling flower was a supreme treasure that sold for more than 100 Tao rhythms. In the Heaven Wasteland domain, a cultivator below the Saint Realm would be considered wealthy if they could take out 10 Tao rhythms, while a cultivator below the level of a powerful expert would definitely not be able to take out more than 30 Tao rhythms. Even if those powerful experts did not deliberately reserve Tao rhythms, the number of Tao rhythms they had would often be less than 100. From this point alone, one could infer how precious a treasure worth 100 Tao rhythms was. That was an existence that could make an almighty go bankrupt. Now that Tsing Hui had entrusted this unfalling flower to him to sell, it was like handing a peerless treasure worth 10 billion to a supermarket chain manager with assets of tens of millions on Earth. If he could really complete this task, Not to mention the sales of the supermarket chain, it would have an immeasurable effect on the promotion of the supermarket chain's reputation. Senior Dong Yang, do you really intend to entrust this item to our Red Cloud City branch to sell? Of course, I also hope to sell it at a satisfactory price through the channels of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce. Gong Xing listened and took a deep breath. Please rest assured, Senior. Although I am only the president of a branch, I will do my best to obtain the greatest benefits for you. At the same time, for a supreme treasure of this level, plus the cooperative relationship between Senior and our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce, I will apply to the president for waiving the handling fee. Speaking of this, his tone paused slightly. As for the deposit, I can only give Senior 120 Dao rhythms. In half a day, the total amount of Dao rhythms that the more than a dozen branches nearby can gather is only this much. But I will immediately apply to the headquarters. If Senior can wait for a day, the deposit of 150 Dao rhythms should not be a problem. A day? Then I'll wait for a day. Xing Hui said. Maintaining the avatar for a day would result in a prolonged period of weakness, which was still acceptable. By the way, Senior, you should have awakened the Torch Dragon bloodline, right? That's right. Half a year ago, the Chaos Treasure Pavilion of our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce opened. There is an item for sale called the Torch Dragon Scale, which is the dragon scale left behind when the divine beast Torch Dragon transformed into a divine beast. The refiners of our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce used this item as the foundation to cast the Torch Dragon Scale armor. The armor has reached the 12th order and will be auctioned in half a year. I wonder if Senior would like to buy it? A 12th order armor? Or the Torch Dragon armor? Do you have the detailed information of this armor? Yes, Senior, please take a look. Gong Xing hurriedly took out a jade talisman and said, the Torch Dragon armor is the 19th item among the many collections that we have collected over the years. It's one of the 3 great treasures of the finale. In the 19th set of materials, we will also add Senior's Never-Falling Flower to the auction. With how precious the Never-Falling Flower is, it will be a piece of cake for it to be ranked after the top 10. It might even replace the 3rd item of the finale and become the new treasure of the finale. Xing Hui checked for a moment. Each of these auction items was extremely extraordinary. The starting price of the top 10 items was between 20 to 50 Dao rhythms. After the 10th place, the price gap gradually widened. The cheapest item was worth 50 Dao rhythms, and the most expensive one was the baby Qilin that Xing Hui had seen before. It was worth 300 Dao rhythms. This was because the Qilin that had already been born was wild and unruly, and it was extremely difficult to tame it. If it was a tamed baby Qilin, even if the price was doubled, there would probably be people willing to buy it. The Torch Dragon armor was among them. It was priced at 120 Dao rhythms. Of course, this was only the starting price. When the auction started, the price would definitely increase by a lot. It was not impossible for it to reach 150, 160, or even 180 Dao rhythms. Its defense is amazing. It can even merge the Torch Dragon Divine Soul that it molded into the armor and activate the Torch Dragon Divine Soul in the armor to protect the body. This is almost a weakened version of the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Xing Hui looked at this item, and a light flashed in his eyes. Half a year later? I will definitely come by then. If Senior Dong Yang is willing to come, our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce will definitely welcome you. Xing Hui nodded. Considering that the Torch Dragon Bloodline realm was still in the Green Netherworld realm and there was still some time before it could step into the Vision Domain realm and condense the Torch Dragon Divine Body, he immediately asked, are there any other treasures suitable for my disciples' cultivation? Items related to divine beasts are too rare and are usually only produced in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Even the treasures in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion may not produce items related to the Torch Dragon Divine Beast every time. Please forgive me, Senior. Xing Hui nodded. His Chaos Treasure Pavilion had been refreshed twice, and it was already lucky for him to be able to buy a Golden Crow Soul Essence. In fact, according to the usual practice, half of the 10 treasures were too expensive or not useful because of the realm. The other 2 or 3 treasures were of little value and either had unknown effects or were not worth the loss. There were usually only 2 or 3 treasures that could really be used. The so-called use did not mean that it could be used for cultivation, but that it could be sold like the god refining water and space understanding grass. At least it would not be a loss. Senior Dong Yong, we really don't have any items related to divine beasts, but there are many materials related to divine beasts, such as true dragon blood, phoenix blood, Baifeng blood essence, and so on. Forget about the divine beast blood essence. Xing Hui did not want his true essence to drop from divine to divine when he broke through to the Saint Realm. The Galaxy Chamber of Commerce is attached to the Myriad Star sect. The main purpose of their existence is to collect top materials or earn Taoist rhymes to subsidize the Myriad Star sect. They are reluctant to sell the real top treasures. Even if they want to sell them, they will take them out to make their Chamber of Commerce famous. It seems that if I want to buy the real good stuff, I have to go to the Sky Dome realm. Thinking about this, Xing Hui waited quietly. A day passed by quickly. The next day, Wu Chu, who had cultivated the immortal golden pellet, came personally. Along with him were several endless realm guards and a vice president of the Milky Way Chamber of Commerce. This vice president respectfully handed over 150 Taoist rhymes to Qing Su. At the same time, he also handed over the invitation to the auction that the Milky Way Chamber of Commerce would hold in Divine Wilderness City half a year later. His etiquette was impeccable. However, Qing Su was still thinking about his trip to the Sky Dome realm. Moreover, he was used to working with Gong Xing, so he did not want to push Gong Xing aside just because a vice president of the Milky Way Chamber of Commerce had come to curry favor with him. He only finished the auction out of courtesy and recalled his avatar. He returned to Moon Lake Island with the 150 Taoist rhymes item. The amount of Taoist rhymes has increased again. The Chaos Treasure Pavilion is really a good thing. There are so many treasures inside. No wonder only a force with a rank 30 Son of Chaos can be called a top force. As the cave mansions left behind during the Divine Wilderness era have been excavated, the cultivation resources needed by the Saint Realm experts have decreased. Now, 99% of them rely on the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Without the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, peak Saint Realm experts can't break through to the Saint Realm, and invincible Saint Realm experts can't make any progress for the rest of their lives. Xing Hui looked at the 150 Taoist rhymes that had been replenished in his body and smiled faintly. These 150 Taoist rhymes, a part of it would be used to repay the debt in the Sky Dome realm. As for the rest, Xing Hui's gaze fell on his chaos level. Currently, his chaos level had reached rank 34. Then, what kind of ability would be derived from rank 35? Chapter 342. The trip to the heavy reality continent is bound to be fruitful. In that case, let me see if there are any changes to the 35th level of chaos. As Xing Hui thought to himself, his gaze fell on the character interface of the Chaos Temple. 36 days had passed since he returned from the Fortune continent. In these 36 days, Xing Hui had accumulated the Tao essence of the Fortune Jade. He did not invest it in the Chaos Temple's Chaos Plane. Instead, he had comprehended the magic arsenal to minor completion. In addition to the magic arsenal, he had also cultivated the roaming spirit control technique, which had the effect of tempering one's soul, and the yin-yang reversal technique, which concealed one's aura, to minor completion. Due to the lack of the presence of ways in the Fortune Jade, the value of the 34th step 069th had fallen by 36 points in 36 days. He had 33 points left. So Qing Su directly took out an item that was worth 67 points of ways from the deposit of the non-falling flower and absorbed it in a single stroke. When the Chaos Plane had completely absorbed the 100 Tao essence, the character interface suddenly blurred. In the next moment, it directly rushed to the 35th level. Very good. Glancing at the Chaos level, Xing Hui's gaze immediately searched for the special abilities. With a glance, he already saw the new skills of the 35th level. Deduction technique? Xing Hui was slightly stunned. This name, it did not seem to be a combat-related skill. Xing Hui focused on the deduction technique and slightly understood the effect of this ability. Deduction technique? Know Taiji, Yin, and Yang, understand the 4 symbols and 5 elements, discern all things in the universe, and resolve karma? The skill. Xing Hui frowned. It was somewhat mysterious. However, it obviously did not help much in the growth of combat strength. For a moment, Xing Hui could not help but hesitate. After a while, he moved his gaze away from the deduction technique and fell on the other characteristics. His recovery had already reached the 10th level. Unfortunately, he was still at the 5th level. The remaining skills were the personal space, incarnation technique, sword Dao talent, sacred technique, divine protection technique, and teleportation technique. With a single glance, Qing Su really did feel that his abilities were very mixed. Many of his abilities were actually not very useful at all. For example, the sword Dao talent and the advanced skill, these two skills were rather useless. Especially his talent in sword Dao. Seeing this talent, he couldn't help but think back to when he first arrived in this world. Eastern Sun Sword Sect. Sword Saint Xing Hui. At that time, he still relied on the foundation left behind by the Eastern Sun Sword Sect and used the swordsmanship of the Eastern Sun Sword Sect to win. But now, he no longer looked like a sword saint. All of his techniques relied on the divine might of the Torch Dragon bloodline and the Golden Crow bloodline. There were only a few places where he could truly use his swordsmanship and display this series of techniques. However, this was not his fault. The cultivation system of this world determined that cultivators were destined to rely on the various talents of the divine beasts. If he did not constantly tap into his potential in this aspect and only relied on the Eastern Sun Sword technique brought by the Eastern Sun Sword sect, it would be good for him to have the battle strength of a spirit-refining realm cultivator. Any ability that reaches the 5th level will undergo a round of mutation. It is said that as long as the incarnation technique reaches the 5th level after descending an ordinary incarnation, there will be no additional consumption other than a day of weakness. Although there are some differences in the effects of the mutation due to the different increase in other skills and cultivation techniques, it is basically the same. If this deduction technique can't see any difference, then I might as well upgrade the incarnation technique to the 5th level and cause it to undergo a mutation. Thinking of this, Xing Hui's gaze was already focused on the incarnation technique. Buzz buzz. With a blur, the incarnation technique was upgraded from the 4th level to the 5th level. As soon as the 5th level incarnation technique was activated, Xing Hui's mind immediately surged with the special effects after reaching the 5th level. It's actually not an ordinary incarnation, there is no consumption. Xing Hui carefully experienced the special effects after the 5th level incarnation technique's mutation, and his expression gradually became strange. The spirit can descend to the target's location. The duration is determined by the spirit level. The descending spirit consciousness can reside in the body of a person whose spirit level is lower than the 3rd level. During this period, because the spirit will be nourished by the body, there is no additional consumption. The descending spirit consciousness can reside in the body of a person whose spirit level is lower than the 3rd level. A good incarnation technique was derived from the special characteristics of the incarnation technique. And a spirit level lower than the 3rd level, one must know that the spirit level is different from strength, defense, speed, and other data. Any adult spirit level is in fact between the 6th and 10th level. Some people are even born with a spirit level higher than the 10th level. If these people cultivate and continuously sharpen their spirit, they will often have the ability to self-awaken. They are undeniably geniuses. As for a spirit level lower than the 3rd level, usually, only children under the age of 6 or those with mental retardation would have such a spirit level. Some children with a spirit level of the 3rd level could not even reach the standard of those well-educated 6-year-old children. This special characteristic is somewhat interesting. Xing Hui carefully studied the details of the incarnation technique to the 5th level and understood the difference between this special characteristic and an ordinary 5th level incarnation technique. An ordinary 5th level incarnation technique will not have additional consumption after the incarnation is summoned. However, if he summoned his main battle incarnation, the consumption will still be there. The higher the cultivation, the greater the consumption. As for Xing Hui's incarnation technique, because of the existence of a physical body, if he wanted to summon his main battle incarnation, he would be restricted by the physical body and would have to summon his strength according to the strength of the physical body. If Xing Hui were to summon his spirit-refining cultivation into an ordinary person's body, that person would explode in the blink of an eye. But on the other hand, if Tsing Hui could spend some time to raise the level of this incarnation, allowing it to reach the spirit and chi unity realm, then he would immediately possess the battle strength of this realm. Moreover, no consumption. A blue netherworld realm incarnation that didn't consume any energy was an advantage that other incarnation techniques couldn't compare with. The mutation of my incarnation technique seems pretty good, Tsing Hui muttered to himself. After a while, he seemed to have thought of something and frowned. Wait a minute, this incarnation technique requires the cultivator's spirit level to be no higher than the 3rd level. In other words, if I want to summon my incarnation in the future, I will either have to find those with mental retardation or borrow the body of a child. Letting a person who had lived for decades stay in the body of a child who was only a few years old? Tsing Hui rubbed his forehead. How troublesome. As for the effects of this incarnation technique, he would only know after using it. And to test out the true effects of this incarnation technique, Tsing Hui immediately changed his appearance and contacted Sun Chi. Sun Chi's cultivation was limited and did not leave a portion of his consciousness in the Primal Chaos Temple. After all, if he left a portion of his consciousness in the Primal Chaos Temple while fighting, cultivating, and comprehending cultivation techniques, it was equivalent to multitasking. This method was simply courting death. Even if his spirit had been strengthened in the spirit and chi uniting realm and could be used for other purposes, he still could not relax during crucial moments of battle and cultivation. This was also the reason why Tsing Hui could not immediately receive reports from Ling Yu, King Zhenhai, and the others when he was in seclusion in the Burning Sky sect. Fortunately, Sun Chi had been waiting for Tsing Hui's news. Not long after Tsing Hui sent out the message, he appeared in the Primal Chaos Temple. When he saw Tsing Hui, he hurriedly bowed respectfully. "Senior, give me your spiritual imprint. I plan to meet the Reverend Heaven Sect's disciple, Yu Qingyan." "Yes, Senior." Sun Chi bowed respectfully and offered his spiritual imprint without hesitation. "You've done well. I'll reward you when the time comes. It's my honor to be able to work for Senior. I dare not claim credit," Sun Chi said, but he could not hide the joy on his face. "All right, you can leave now," Tsing Hui said. After Sun Chi left, he focused his attention on the incarnation technique. He could take this opportunity to understand what kind of changes this incarnation technique had. Buzz buzz. In the next moment, the feeling of using the incarnation technique welled up in his heart. Moreover, other than the feeling of using the incarnation technique, Tsing Hui also felt like he was using the supreme immortal technique from the Fortune mainland, the wandering spirit control technique. It was as if his primordial spirit had left his body. Could it be that the incarnation technique's mutation was related to the various cultivation techniques and immortal techniques he cultivated? Before Qing Su could carefully appreciate just what was so special about the avatar technique that was mixed with a sliver of the soul, his surroundings gradually cleared up. He appeared in a rather spacious courtyard. In the courtyard, Sun Chi was waiting for something anxiously and was not cultivating. Because he had cultivated to the spirit refining realm in the past year, his situation was obviously much better. Not only did he have a separate courtyard, but there were also many servants around. However, these servants had all been dismissed by him. This is almost the feeling of the primordial spirit leaving the body. However, although I've cultivated the wandering spirit control technique, I'm limited by my spiritual force and can only travel tens of kilometers. Moreover, I can't travel for more than an incense stick's worth of time. Otherwise, I'll feel weak. But now, I'm already millions of kilometers away from the eastern wasteland, and I don't feel weak at all. Even the consumption of my primordial spirit seems to have decreased greatly at this rate. It shouldn't be a problem for my primordial spirit to exist for 3 to 5 days. Tsing Hui was quite curious about this feeling. With a thought, Tsing Hui felt that he could use the remnant energy of the incarnation technique to condense an energy body that could pass off as a real one. However, considering that he wanted to explore the effects of the incarnation technique, he immediately stopped the thought of condensing an energy body and flew towards the Sixth Saint Sword sect. He carefully sensed the area where there were many people. He did not want to find a child when the time came. After flying for a while, Tsing Hui seemed to have sensed something. He suddenly changed his direction and flew towards the outer area of the Sixth Saint Sword sect. In a courtyard outside the Sixth Saint Sword sect, a group of 3 people were currently punching and kicking a 15 or 16-year-old man who looked sloppy and muddle-headed. Although the man looked strong, his eyes were filled with fear when he looked at the 3 people. He didn't dare to fight back at all as the 3 people beat and scolded him. After listening for a while, Xing Hui understood the reason. This rather unkempt man was actually the immature person that Qing Su was looking for. The 3 of them were bullying him because he was immature, forcing him to work for the 3 of them. In the end, something unexpected happened, so the 3 of them beat and scolded him. Xing Hui looked for a while and threw an appraisal technique over. Then lower than 10, not displayed. Rubbing his eyebrows, Xing Hui could only rely on himself to observe carefully. It seems that I have to take some time to upgrade my appraisal technique. Xing Hui muttered to himself. Fortunately, it was not difficult for him to determine a person's mental strength with his experience. Once the 3 of them had left, his soul directly turned into a streak of light and entered the man's body. The powerful mental strength was able to shatter the man's consciousness in a single moment. However, in order to prove a guess, Xing Hui restrained and sealed the consciousness that was almost shattered by him. Not only that, he directly took out a stream of spirit qi and began to nourish the spirit of the consciousness. Let me see what's so mysterious about this incarnation technique. Chapter 343. It's only at the marrow cleansing realm. Xing Hui moved his body slightly. As for the injuries on his body, with a single thought, he applied the characteristics of the Son of Chaos to this body. For a time, the recovery rate of the true energy in the body that belonged to his main body clearly became jerky, and he couldn't even directly open up his personal space there. However, because the 2 of them shared the same consciousness, his comprehension ability wasn't affected in any way. On the other hand, this body began to undergo a subtle transformation from the inside out. The injuries from being beaten up by the 3 outer court disciples of the Sixth Saint Sword sect were completely healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than a breath's time, he had already recovered to his peak state. We'll talk about it after we leave this place. Xing Hui glanced at the disciples who occasionally came and went outside the courtyard. He quietly made his way to the door and took advantage of the fact that the disciples at the door were not paying attention to him to leave the courtyard in a flash. As for whether these disciples would suspect that he was missing a person, that was not a problem he needed to consider. At the foot of the Sixth Sacred Sword Sect mountain, Xing Hui slowly walked along a forest path. As expected, apart from the consumption of the incarnation technique, maintaining this body has no effect on my main body. I don't have to worry about the weakening effect becoming more and more serious as time passes. Xing Hui had a faint smile on his face. The Sixth Sacred Sword Sect is a sect under the jurisdiction of the Reverend Heaven Sect. It's not far from the Reverend Heaven Sect, less than 3,000 kilometers away. However, this body is only at the marrow cleansing realm. It's really too weak. Xing Hui looked inside his body for a moment. Immediately after, the Golden Crow's divine soul appeared in his spiritual world. Streams of Golden Crow's power were continuously drawn from his spiritual world and seeped into this body, transforming it. Under the invisible transformation of the Golden Crow's divine soul's power, the body that was originally at the marrow cleansing realm broke through at a speed visible to the naked eye. Organs refinement, blood replacement. Not long after, this body that was originally at the blood replacement realm broke through the limits of his cultivation and directly rushed to the awakening realm. As for the awakened bloodline, it was naturally the Golden Crow divine beast that he used to temper his body. The awakening realm is still a little lacking. Xing Hui flipped his hand, and a drop of phoenix blood appeared in his hand. Although the phoenix blood was not phoenix blood essence, it was still extremely precious. However, for the sake of this experiment, Xing Hui was extremely willing. He directly refined this drop of phoenix blood into his body. For a moment, his body, which had just broken through to the awakening realm, quickly turned red. It was as if his cells were undergoing a rebirth. His various attributes were increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, The first stream of Zhen Qi was condensed from his refined Qi and blood. After that, more and more of the power of Qi and blood escaped from the drop of phoenix blood and was refined and transformed into his own Zhen Qi. When he had completely refined the medicinal power of the drop of phoenix blood, his cultivation had already broken through to the peak of the Zhen Qi realm. I wasted quite a bit. This body is too weak. I do not dare to completely refine this drop of phoenix blood in one go. I have no choice but to be careful. If I were to spend some more time polishing the foundation of this body, then after 10 days to half a month, it would not be difficult for me to raise my cultivation to the spirit refining realm. Xing Hui felt a little regretful. However, what made him happy was that because he had a physical body, even if he had cultivated this body to the peak of the Zhen Qi realm, it did not bring any additional consumption to his incarnation technique. In other words, his guess was completely correct. As long as he had a physical body, even if he used a prominent divine body, the weakening effect would only be the same as an ordinary incarnation technique. After reaching the Zhen Qi realm, flying on a sword is no longer a problem. Xing Hui pointed at the air and the flaming sword was already taken out by him. However, considering the ostentatious nature of a rank 9 flying sword, he immediately changed the flaming sword to a rank 5 flying sword called Sunset Sword. While flying, Xing Hui's cultivation was only in the Zhen Qi realm, but relying on the rank 10 recovery ability, it was easy for him to continue flying. This was something unimaginable for any cultivator in the Zhen Qi realm. According to the information provided by Sun Qi, Yu Qingyan has already cultivated to the spirit refining realm even if she has the sacred technique. With my current body's cultivation of holy grade Zhen Qi, my own realm, and my sword intent that is close to great success, defeating her would still be a piece of cake. Xing Hui's expression was calm. The entire Reverend Heaven sect did not pose any threat to him. The strongest in the Reverend Heaven sect was only in the Qingming realm, and only in the ordinary Qingming realm. It was only by relying on the sacred technique that the Reverend Heaven sect was able to develop to the peak. Although his current body was crippled and only cultivated holy grade Zhen Qi, relying on his rank 9 divine weapons, it would not be a problem for him to force his way into the Reverend Heaven sect. Xiu. Xing Hui flew on his sword and quickly crossed the 3,000-kilometer distance between the Reverend Heaven sect and the 6th Sacred Sword sect, landing outside the Reverend Heaven sect. Considering the Reverend Heaven sect's style of doing things, Xing Hui directly controlled his Zhen Qi to the peak of the spirit refining realm. Then he poured in some of his divine sense, causing the peak spirit refining realm Zhen Qi to circulate. It was as if it had come alive, filled with spirituality. This was the characteristic of the Spirit Qi Unity realm. With the demeanor of a Spirit Qi Unity realm expert, Xing Hui directly landed in front of the Reverend Heaven sect's mountain gate. The guarding disciples of the sect had always been insightful, and the disciples of the Reverend Heaven sect were no exception. Although Xing Hui looked to be only 14 or 15 years old, when they saw the spirituality flowing out of Xing Hui's Zhen Qi, they immediately went up to him. Reverend Heaven sect's guarding disciple, Yu Chong, greet Senior. May I know where Senior has come from, and what brings you to my Reverend Heaven sect? I'm here to pay a visit to your sect's direct disciple, Yu Qingyan. I have something important to discuss with her. Senior Apprentice Sister Yu Qingyan? The guarding disciple, Yu Chong, was slightly startled. Senior, please come in first. I'll go and inform Senior Apprentice Sister Yu Qingyan. May I know how to address Senior? I have a treasure related to the four-eyed bird. Just tell her. Yes, I'll go and inform Senior Apprentice Sister. Senior, please come in. Saying so, Yu Chong gestured with his hand. At the same time, without needing his instructions, a disciple went to report this matter to the higher-ups of the sect and Yu Qingyan. Yu Qingyan had cultivated to the spirit refining realm, and her Zhen Qi was holy rank. She was a rare genius disciple of the Reverend Heaven sect and was qualified to oversee a place. Now that an outsider suddenly came to look for her, the higher-ups of the Reverend Heaven sect would naturally send someone to ask about it. When Yu Chong brought Xing Hui into the Reverend Heaven sect, Xing Hui was also thinking about how to make Yu Qingyan willingly give up the treasures. He still had the corpse of the sacred beast, the four-eyed bird. As for the price, even according to the price of the Chongzhen continent, it was not worth 100 Dao rhythms, not to mention that Yu Qingyan had more than 100 Dao rhythms on her body. Since he could not rely on the four-eyed bird to make the deal, then he could only make a move on the cultivation method and slightly threaten her. He, Xing Hui, was not a completely inflexible person. Xing Hui waited for a moment in the living room. Soon, Yu Qingyan and a Reverend Heaven Sect Spirit Chi Unity Realm Elder walked over. After seeing Xing Hui's extremely young face, the Spirit Chi Unity Realm Elder was slightly startled. After recovering, he smiled and cupped his hands. I am Reverend Heaven Sect's Elder, Emoji. May I know how to address you? I'm only here to make a deal with Miss Yu Qingyan. There's no need for names. This is a drop of the blood of the four-eyed bird. Miss Yu Qingyan, it's not too late to check its authenticity. As Xing Hui spoke, his gaze fell on Yu Qingyan. This Yu Qingyan was indeed Yu Yan, the one he had made a deal with before. Although she had disguised herself, Xing Hui had memorized her aura. There was no way he would be wrong. The blood of the four-eyed bird, and it's the blood of the sacred beast's heart. Yu Qingyan could tell the value of this drop of blood at a glance. She stepped forward and asked, May I know what you wish to trade with me? Xing Hui glanced at Emoji and said, I'm afraid this is not the place to talk about the price. In Reverend Heaven Sect, I don't dare to reveal all my cards. Yu Qingyan hurriedly bowed to Emoji. Elder, could you allow this disciple to speak with this reverend alone? Although Emoji was somewhat dissatisfied with Xing Hui, Yu Qingyan was their Reverend Heaven Sect's most outstanding true disciple. At such a young age, she had already cultivated to the spirit-refining realm. Moreover, she had condensed holy-grade qi. Her future was limitless. He could not refuse and could only transmit his voice. You have to be careful. This person's origin is unknown and he is unwilling to reveal his origin. Elder, don't worry. I will not leave Reverend Heaven Sect's territory. Seeing this, Emoji did not insist. He nodded and turned to leave. Sir, please come with me. Yu Qingyan gestured to Xing Hui with her hand and led Xing Hui to the mountain behind Reverend Heaven Sect. Not long after, they arrived at a deeper part of the forest. The environment here was quiet and secluded. Even if something happened, Reverend Heaven Sect's experts would not be able to rush over to stop it. Xing Hui glanced at Yu Qingyan. He could not help but be surprised by this cautious girl. She actually dared to stay here alone with him, a spirit chi unification realm cultivator? May I know what you wish to trade? What do you want to trade with? I know that you have the Chaos Organization's Star Palace's accumulated treasures during the war against the Chaos Organization. I happen to have the corpse of a rank 10 four-eyed bird. What I want to trade with you is this item, as well as an immortal technique. Before Xing Hui could finish speaking, Yu Qingyan suddenly retreated and asked warily, Who exactly are you? Who I am is not important. You only need to know that I know everything about the treasures you have. I wonder if our trade can proceed smoothly? Yu Qingyan looked at Xing Hui warily and asked in a low voice, You said you have the corpse of a rank 10 four-eyed bird. How can I believe you? Xing Hui was not afraid that Yu Qingyan would play any tricks. With a wave of his hand, the corpse of the rank 10 four-eyed bird appeared in front of Yu Qingyan, occupying a large area of empty space. Seeing the corpse of the rank 10 four-eyed bird, Yu Qingyan immediately went forward to examine it carefully. Very quickly, her eyes lit up. How is it? Is this a four-eyed bird? That's right. This is indeed a four-eyed bird. How do you wish to trade? There's no hurry. I know that you have the Star Palace's accumulated treasures during the war against the Chaos Organization. The corpse of a four-eyed bird is obviously not enough to trade for all the remaining Taoist rhymes on you. Therefore, I plan to. As Xing Hui spoke, he was about to promise her a supreme immortal technique. However, before he could finish speaking, Yu Qingyan, who seemed to be listening attentively and focused all her attention on the body of the rank 10 four-eyed bird, suddenly burst forward. While the aura of the divine technique surged from her body, she was like a stream of light that stabbed towards Xing Hui's heart. Chapter 344. Yu Qingyan did not hesitate to suddenly attack, causing Xing Hui to be startled in his heart. Immediately after, he reacted and wanted to quickly retreat, but, after all, this was not his own body, and it had only taken him less than 2 days to raise this body to the peak of the true Qi realm. He was unable to perfectly control this body, and when his body retreated, there was actually a slight delay in his movements. This slight delay was seized by Yu Qingyan, and without hesitation, her sharp sword pierced through Tsing Hui's heart, piercing through his heart, and the sharp sword came out from his back. Qi! Blood spurted out. After piercing through Tsing Hui's heart, Yu Qingyan's hands did not slow down in the slightest. Her sword stirred, causing severe pain in her body. At the same time, her left hand had already struck out like lightning, fiercely smashing into the space between Tsing Hui's eyebrows. A shocking force attacked his brain, causing him to suffer a concussion and his mind to scatter. A little true Qi realm cultivator actually dares to play tricks in front of me. Do you really think I can't see through your origins? I don't care where you got the news that I have a large number of Dao-carrying items on me, but that's not important. I will force you to tell me everything. The body of the four-eyed bird belongs to me, and your chaotic level will also belong to me. In an instant, severely injuring Tsing Hui, Yu Qingyan, who had always been timid and cautious during the transaction with Tsing Hui, finally revealed her fierce and decisive side. In an instant, she heavily injured Tsing Hui between his eyebrows, causing him to fall into a trance. If he was really just a true Qi realm cultivator, his heart would have been pierced through. No matter how strong his vitality was, he would have lost the ability to resist. And because of the shock in his mind, he could not even use the chaos method to communicate with the Chaos Palace. In other words, even if there were many secret treasures in his personal space that could turn the situation around in one fell swoop, they were useless. He had completely become a fish on the chopping block. Unfortunately, Tsing Hui was not. Qi! Tsing Hui didn't seem to feel the pain from the sword piercing through his heart. He even used his body to clamp down on Yu Qingyan's sword, causing it to be unable to move. Then, he suddenly moved closer to her and allowed the sword to pierce through his entire body. Buzz! The sword intent vibrated. The torch dragon sword intent seemed to be able to freeze the thoughts of others, causing Yu Qingyan's expression to change drastically. Unfortunately, before she could make the next move, Tsing Hui had already ruthlessly struck her head with his sword intent. Immediately after, he formed a sword with his fingers at an inconceivable speed, and in an instant, he repeatedly tapped her 4 limbs. True Qi burst out, and at the same time, blood spurted out from her shoulders and thighs. The blazing and overbearing true Qi even invaded her body, wantonly destroying her tendons and meridians. By the time Yu Qingyan finally struggled out of the impact of the torch dragon sword intent, the intense pain had already caused her to let out a shrill scream. Her entire body fell to the ground due to the unstoppable pain, constantly groaning on the ground. Who? Tsing Hui's brows overflowed with sweat. He slowly pulled out the sharp sword that had pierced into his body, bringing with it a dark red light. The pierced vital parts of his body and the minced internal organs quickly healed under the effects of the 10th order recovery. However, although his injuries had been healed, the pain brought about by the injuries to his body was still faithfully reflected in his nerves, causing his face to faintly pale. You're quite decisive. It seems that the reason why you agreed to come here with me without hesitation is because you've already seen through my cultivation level, right? I'm a little curious. You have always been cautious. When did you become so bold and reckless? So you thought that you had seen through my trump card and thought that you had me, so you brought me to this small forest. Your main purpose was to snatch the corpse of the four-eyed bird from me? Tsing Hui slowly said. For you. Yu Qingyan forcefully endured the pain. In the next moment, she actually pretended to be in extreme pain and suddenly rolled on the ground, quietly crushing the identity token on her body. Almost at the same time that she crushed the identity token on her body, Tsing Hui, who had cultivated the spirit control technique and had become extremely sensitive, had already sensed the auras of several divine Qi Unison experts rapidly heading in this direction. One of the auras had even faintly reached the green darkness realm. Although these people restrained their own energy fluctuations and quietly lurked under the senses of his spirit control technique, they had nowhere to hide. Good courage. Seeing that Yu Qingyan actually used this method to inform the people of the sect after he had been subdued, Xinghui could not help but praise her. She did not seem to be worried that he would fly into a rage and kill her, because she clearly understood that he had a favor to ask of her and would not easily kill her. On the contrary, a son of chaos who had fallen into the hands of another son of chaos would definitely suffer a fate worse than death. Rather than that, it was better to take a risk and gamble that he would not kill her immediately in exchange for a chance for the experts of the sect to rush over and save her. Unfortunately, no matter how much Yu Qingyan calculated, she would never have imagined that Xinghui was not an ordinary true Qi Unison expert at all. When he sensed the arrival of the Spirit and Qi Uniting Stage experts of the Reverend Heaven sect, as well as a Green Netherworld Stage expert, he didn't hesitate to pick up Yu Qingyan. Then he leaped into the air and summoned his flying sword. His entire body turned into a stream of light as he shot out of the Reverend Heaven sect. Flying sword? It's actually a flying sword? How dare you behave so atrociously in our Reverend Heaven sect? That bastard, surrender immediately and we can still spare your life. If you continue to be so stubborn, our Reverend Heaven sect swears to hunt you down to the ends of the earth. When the Reverend Heaven sect elders saw that their plan to hide had been seen through by Xinghui, they immediately stopped hiding and roared furiously. Among them, 3 Divine Qi Unison elders and the Green Darkness Realm elder who had flying swords immediately flew over on their swords and chased after Xinghui. You can't escape. Let me go immediately and hand over the Reverend Brightbird's corpse, and I can still help you explain to our Reverend Heaven sect elders. Otherwise, when the elders catch up to you, only death awaits you. Do you want to drag me down with you, or do you want to find a chance to live? I believe you can think clearly. Even though Yu Qingyan had been captured by Qing Su, she still endured the pain of having her limbs crippled and her inability to focus. She forced herself to speak. Can't escape? Aren't you overestimating the Reverend Heaven sect elders behind you? Xinghui sneered. In the next moment, the flying sword under his feet changed and the flowing fire sword appeared. His flying speed suddenly doubled, and in an instant he left the elders far behind. What flying sword is this? A 6th grade flying sword? A 7th grade flying sword? Yu Qingyan's eyes revealed a trace of horror, but soon she thought of something and gritted her teeth. Even if you have a 6th or 7th grade flying sword in your hand, you still can't escape the pursuit of our Reverend Heaven sect elders. No matter how good a flying sword is, it still depends on who is using it. With your true Qi cultivation, I'm afraid you won't be able to last half an incense stick's worth of time. Once your true Qi is exhausted and you lose the flying sword's advantage, you still won't be able to escape death. Rather than that, it's better to take out these treasures and give them to our Reverend Heaven sect elders. I can put in a few good words for you to save your life. I'm a little curious, how did you see through my true cultivation? Xinghui didn't answer and instead asked Yu Qingyan. Back then, when I obtained those treasures, I also obtained one of them. It was with that treasure that I was able to see through your true cultivation base. Yongkai said, treasure. Xinghui was enlightened when he heard this. The Tao-carrying treasures Yu Qingyan obtained came from a peak expert who was at the 25th level of chaos. It was reasonable for this almighty expert to leave behind a few mysterious treasures when he hid the Tao-carrying treasures. He didn't waste any more words and flew at full speed on his flying sword. He knew that if he didn't make Yu Qingyan despair, he wouldn't be able to get the information he wanted from her. How fast was the 9th grade flying sword Wildfire? In just a few dozen breaths, he had already left the few Divine Qi Uniting Stage and Blue Netherworld Stage elders far behind him. If it weren't for the fact that he was worried about attracting unnecessary trouble, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill those venerable Heaven sect elders directly. As Xinghui continued to fly, Yu Qingyan's face, which had turned pale due to pain and blood loss, became even paler. When she saw that Xinghui's speed hadn't decreased at all after flying for half an hour, she couldn't help but struggle in despair. Recovery characteristic, this must be the recovery characteristic of a son of chaos. What stage are you? What stage is your recovery characteristic at? You don't need to know what stage it is. You just need to know that your venerable heaven sect elders won't be able to catch up to me. As Tsing Hui spoke, he considered that he had already flown 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers and stopped moving forward. In less than an hour, he had left the venerable heaven sect elders behind by at least 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers. He didn't believe that they would be able to find him at such a distance. With a turn, Tsing Hui landed in an ordinary forest below. He threw Yu Qingyan to the ground and said, "I believe you know why I'm here. Now, I'll give you two choices. First, I'll use the four-eyed bird's corpse to exchange for the treasures stored in the Star Palace, as well as the chaos technique formula you'll hand over." As Tsing Hui spoke, he used appraisal on her. Level 10 Son of Chaos. This number was within his expectations. After all, Yu Qingyan had only obtained the treasures stored in the Star Palace. She hadn't obtained the inheritance of the level 25 Son of Chaos. There was a trace of misery in Yu Qingyan's eyes. When she fell into Tsing Hui's hands and the venerable heaven sect elders hadn't caught up to her, she had already predicted her fate. She could only blame herself for being blinded by greed. When she found out that the traitor in front of her was only in the true Qi realm, she wanted to kill him and steal his wealth. That was how she ended up in his hands. As for the second choice, I don't need to tell you. Or, do you want to try and see if you can withstand the torture of interrogation? I choose the first choice. Chapter 345. Very good. Tsing Hui responded faintly. There was no pity in his eyes as he looked at Yu Qingyan. A supreme immortal technique and the corpse of a 10th level bright bird were not cheap. Perhaps they were not worth hundreds of Taoist rhymes, but if she could make good use of them, it would not be difficult for her to dominate the heavy truth continent in the future and become one of the top experts in the heavy truth continent. This deal was indeed a huge loss for Yu Qingyan, but she was still willing to pay this price after Tsing Hui found her real body. It was already extremely benevolent. Yu Qingyan should not have been greedy and thought that he was an ordinary true Qi cultivator. She did not hesitate to kill him and even wanted to interrogate him about the primal chaos mantra. From this point, it could be seen that Yu Qingyan was not a benevolent person. Since that was the case, it was natural that he took away her primal chaos mantra to ensure that nothing would go wrong. Now, hand over your primal chaos mantra. Yes, Yu Qingyan looked at Tsing Hui with pleading eyes. You are really willing to give me the corpse of the 10th level bright bird? That depends on whether you will play any tricks during the transaction. I understand. I will give it to you now. As Yu Qingyan spoke, she handed over her primal chaos spell with a bitter expression. The only thing that made her rejoice was that the corpse of the rank 10 four-eyed bright bird was still around. With the corpse of this four-eyed bright bird, her future cultivation resources would be plentiful. In the future, she might not be able to become the peak overlord of the heavy truth continent, but it wouldn't be difficult for her to cultivate to the green darkness realm. If she could encounter some opportunities and obtain or purchase a primal chaos technique from others, she might be able to step into the prominent domain stage and strive for the peak of the heavy truth continent. Tsing Hui obtained Yu Qingyan's primal chaos mantra and quickly used it to step into her personal space. Unfortunately, he did not inherit Yu Qingyan's primal chaos mantra. Thus, he could only know that this primal chaos mantra represented a 10th level Son of Chaos. He could not see anything else, including the many Tao-carrying items and treasures in her personal space. Okay, now take out everything in your personal space. Yu Qingyan did not dare to disobey. Soon, many items were presented. Not only were there many Tao-carrying items, there were many miscellaneous items, including some of Yu Qingyan's clothes. Tsing Hui ignored those miscellaneous items and focused his gaze on the items. Tao-carrying items with 326 Tao-carrying? Tao-carrying items with 326 Tao-carrying items? Are you joking with me? The Star Palace may not be a peak chaos organization on par with Sky Dome and Sword Shadow, but it definitely has a lot of Tao-carrying items. Even if it doesn't reach 1,000, it should have at least 700 to 800. Yet, you're telling me that there are only 326 Tao-carrying items with 326 Tao-carrying items? Yu Qingyan trembled in fear when she heard this. She hurriedly explained in a panic, "Please forgive me, my lord." Originally, the Star Palace did have a lot of Tao-carrying items, reaching an astonishing 892. However, I only obtained a 5th-level Chaos Mantra in the beginning. I relied on the Tao-carrying items to raise my level to the 10th level. During this period, I spent nearly 500 Tao-carrying items. In addition, I spent some Tao-carrying items to purchase some treasures, so only 326 Tao-carrying items are left. Xing Hui frowned. A Tao-carrying item with 892 Tao-carrying items was in line with the Star Palace's Tao-carrying values. Looking at the 300 Tao-carrying items that Yu Qingyan took out, he was a little disappointed. However, to be able to obtain more than 300 Tao-carrying items was considered a bountiful harvest. Sure. With a wave of his hand, Xing Hui kept all the Tao-carrying items into his personal space. "All right, you can leave now," Xing Hui said and waved his hand. The corpse of the 10th-level four-eyed bird appeared in front of Yu Qingyan. Yes, thank you, my lord," Yu Qingyan said and glanced at the huge four-eyed bird. With her spirit-refining realm cultivation, even if the four-eyed bird was bigger, she could still move it smoothly. 326 Tao-carrying items. Seeing Yu Qingyan leave, Xing Hui focused on his character model. 26 Tao-carrying items. Including the remaining 50 Tao-carrying items, I'll use the core of the sun to push the Great Sun Golden Crow technique to the peak of the 6th layer as soon as possible. However, after reaching the peak of the 6th layer, I'll have to find a true element realm cultivation technique. The price of a true element realm cultivation technique is double that of an immortal realm cultivation technique. Moreover, the higher the grade, the higher the price. Ordinary God-level cultivation techniques require more than 100 Tao-carrying items. If it's a transcendent God-level cultivation technique, it won't be difficult to sell it for more than 1,000 Tao-carrying items. Moreover, this is not the main point. The main point is that no one is selling God-level cultivation techniques. Xing Hui thought. After a moment, he shook his head again. Sage-level cultivation techniques were different from immortal realm cultivation techniques. Immortal realm cultivation techniques were considered basic cultivation techniques in Tianhuang, and the cultivation world did not pay much attention to them. However, sage-level cultivation techniques were much more precious. Ordinary God-level cultivation techniques were slightly better. Superior and first-rate God-level cultivation techniques were rarely sold. As for the transcendent God-level cultivation techniques, immortal realm cultivation techniques had transcendent God-level cultivation techniques and transcendent God-level cultivation techniques. However, the highest grade of sage-level cultivation techniques that people knew was first-rate God-level cultivation techniques. As for the existence of transcendent God-level cultivation techniques and transcendent God-level cultivation techniques, it was unknown. Seems like I'll have to go to Tianqiong to ask Zhangzhen Shangren or Tianqiong Shangren. Qing Su rubbed his forehead and said with a slight headache. He had to spend more effort on cultivation techniques again. Not only the Great Sun Golden Crow technique, but also the Torch Sun Sutra. Fortunately, the Sun Illumination Scripture was a sage-level cultivation technique that he could purchase directly from Swordmaster Bai Heng. Once he had it, he would just have to spend Dao Aura. The purchase price of the Torch Sun Sutra is 55 Taoist rhymes in the Immortality Realm. If the price of the Sage Realm is double that of the Immortality Realm, it will cost 110 Taoist rhymes. If the price of the Torch Sun Sutra is the same as that of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique, it will cost 220 Taoist rhymes. After doing this calculation, Xing Hui was shocked to find that he could only use 100 of the 326 Dao aura that he had obtained. He had to save the rest to prepare for the true energy realm cultivation technique. Not to mention the various techniques derived from the immortal realm cultivation technique, the level of the sage level cultivation technique would directly determine the number of divine powers derived from the sage level cultivation technique. One had to know that the key to deriving divine powers was the cultivator's understanding of the Tao of heaven and earth, as well as his own foundation. Not to mention the understanding of the Tao of heaven and earth, which differed from person to person, but what did one's own foundation refer to? It was the level of one's bloodline and the mysterious cultivation technique that one cultivated. The stronger one's foundation, the stronger and more divine powers derived from it. If one's foundation was not enough, no matter how high one's understanding of the Tao of heaven and earth was, if one did not have enough foundation, deriving these divine powers would be just empty talk. It was just like doing business. Even if your creative product could bring you 3 times the investment, your capital investment was only 1 million. After 3 times the investment, you would only earn 3 million. On the other hand, even if the annual income of another person was only 50% of the total scale, the other person's scale was in the hundreds of millions. In a year, the profit could still reach 50 million, easily surpassing the former by a few streets. An ordinary scripture costs 100 Taoist rhymes, while a top-tier scripture costs 200 Taoist rhymes. Forget it, I haven't decided which special effect to upgrade yet, so I'll keep these Taoist rhymes for the time being. It won't be too late to upgrade the primal chaos level after I figure out which special effect to upgrade or by a true energy realm cultivation method. Xing Hui's gaze lingered on the Tao aura items for a moment before he looked away. The experiment of the incarnation technique ends here. I've already figured out its advantages and disadvantages. The next step is the final step. After I leave this body, what kind of changes will my arrival bring to it? Xing Hui muttered to himself. The next moment, he leaped up and flew straight in the direction of the 6th Sacred Sword Sect. 2 hours later, Xing Hui stopped outside a small town that was 300 kilometers away from the 6th Sacred Sword Sect. When he arrived at this town, he directly sent a portion of his spirit to the Chaos Temple and contacted Sun Qi. Sun Qi had been waiting for Xing Hui's arrival ever since Xing Hui took away his spirit imprint. Therefore, after he contacted Sun Qi appeared in his personal space not long after. Greetings, Senior. Well, there's something I need you to pay attention to. Immediately go to Lufeng Town to the east of your 6th Sacred Sword Sect. Find this person at the town gate and observe his every move for the next month. Don't alarm him, just report his actions this month to me. As Xing Hui spoke, he transmitted the image of this body to Sun Qi. Don't worry, Senior. I'll go right away. Yes, Junior will take his leave. Sun Qi quickly left. Xing Hui sat cross-legged outside Lufeng Town, waiting for Sun Qi's arrival. Sun Qi had the flying sword that Xing Hui gave him, so it didn't take him long to travel 300 kilometers. Even if he needed to constantly recover his qi along the way, he still appeared outside Lufeng Town after an hour. After sensing Sun Qi's aura, Xing Hui didn't stay in Sun Qi's body for long. He directly released the consciousness of the original owner of this body and interrupted the incarnation technique. When the incarnation technique was interrupted, his consciousness was suddenly pulled away by an invisible force, and then he flew through the void. When he came back to his senses again, he had already returned to his body. It's better for my body to adapt. Xing Hui moved his body slightly and muttered to himself. This trip to the Chongqing continent was considered to have completed the mission goal. In the next month, on the one hand, he was waiting for the after effects of the incarnation technique to be verified. On the other hand, he continued to use the broken sword to hone his spirit and raised his spirit level to 80. If his spirit level didn't reach the standard, he would have to go to the core of the sun to absorb energy to improve his cultivation. It was inevitable that Master Songzhen would nag at him. This kind of thing should be avoided as much as possible. I hope that the increase in subscriptions will not be a flash in the pan and can continue to maintain the upward momentum. Chapter 346. Hunyuan Heaven Sect. A man in silver-gray robes looked gloomily at the energy vortex that spanned nearly 20 kilometers behind the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. How many days has it been? Lord Chosen, 19 days. Beside the silver-gray robed man, a green netherworld expert in his 40s bowed. 19 days. It's only been 19 days in the Hunyuan cave, and she's already broken through to the green netherworld stage. The silver-gray robed man clenched his fists. Although Nalan Fei doesn't cultivate divine-grade astral qi, she has reached the saint grade. Moreover, like me, she's an advanced rank 10 son of chaos and has the divine art. Compared to her, I have no other advantage except for the divine-grade astral chi I cultivated back then. Because I borrowed external force to break through to the green netherworld stage, I won't be able to condense a divine-grade battle body in the prominent saint stage. At that time, I will fall to the same level as Nayland Fei. Lord Chosen, I believe that the elders and ancestors of the Grand Elder Council will make the right choice. The right choice. The silver-gray-robed man cast a cold glance in the direction of the Hunyuan Heaven sect's main peak. If they wanted to make the right choice, they should have done so long ago. Why wait until now? Especially now, Cho Xinghui's influence is growing so great that even the Grand Elder Council has to consider his emotions in all aspects. Lord Chosen. The man looked at the Chosen, who was surrounded by a fiendish aura, with a trace of worry in his eyes. Chosen. There was only one person in the Hunyuan Heaven sect who could be called a Chosen or a son of Hunyuan. That was the green netherworld expert who cultivated divine-grade astral chi and had the divine art, Jiesu. Although Jiesu's cultivation base had risen from the initial green netherworld stage to the intermediate green netherworld stage, he didn't feel the slightest joy in his heart. Although there were tigers standing in his way when he wanted to become the sect master, including Bei Zhongguang, who was known as the first deputy sect master, in Jiesu's view, these people were just clay chickens and pottery dogs. As his cultivation base continued to grow, these people would be easily surpassed by him sooner or later. However, Nayland Fei. This was a person he had barely heard of a few years ago. In just 6 years, she had cultivated from the spirit refining stage to the green netherworld stage, crossing 2 realms in a row. Such a speed of growth made him feel a sense of danger from the bottom of his heart. In particular, it had been almost 2 years since she had broken through to the spirit and chi unite stage. Due to the numerous resources from Qing Su, her cultivation efficiency had reached a whole new level. If she continued to cultivate at this speed, the sect master's throne of the Hunyuan Heaven sect would only grow further and further away from her. No. I can't let that happen. That bitch must be dealt with. There can only be one sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, and that is me. But Lord Chosen's son, the one standing behind Peak Master Nayland Fei, is Grand Elder Xinghui. Although Grand Elder Xinghui is only in the prominent divine stage, he has cultivated the divine grade Golden Crow battle body and has a sacred art. He is almost equivalent to an existence close to the transformative stage. Since our Hunyuan Heaven sect is thinking of ways to rope in such a great figure, letting Nayland Fei enter the Hunyuan cave to cultivate is the best proof. Cho Xinghui. Jiesu thought of the various ambiguous rumors between Xinghui and Lai Wuyang, and his eyes emitted a biting cold killing intent. Lai Wuyang. Everyone knew that she was originally going to marry him. Even the higher-ups of the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jin Wu religion had reached a preliminary agreement. Lai Wuyang could already be considered his woman. But at this time, Xinghui had interfered and snatched Lai Wuyang away from his hands. Regardless of whether he had feelings for Lai Wuyang or whether he liked this woman, just the meaning of this matter was absolutely unbearable as a man. Xinghui first snatched his woman, and now he supported Nayland Fei to seize his sect master's throne. How could he, Jiesu, endure such humiliation? Cho Xinghui, if I, Jiesu, don't kill you, I'm not human. Lord Chosen, you can't. Grand Elder Xinghui's cultivation is unfathomable. Although Lord Chosen can compete with the Grand Elder with the help of the sacred art, once the time limit of the sacred art is over, you may not be the Grand Elder's match. However, Cho Xinghui relied on the power of his divine grade battle body to easily kill the 2 prominent divine stage Grand Elders of the Create Evolve Mysterious sect. This kind of battle power is not something you can resist, especially when he has the sacred art. Even if the Create Evolve Mysterious sect wants to kill him, they can't do anything. Therefore, Lord Chosen, you must not be rash. Rash? No need? Why should I personally deal with him? A cold look appeared on Jiesu's face. You just said that Xinghui killed 2 of the Create Evolve Mysterious sect's Grand Elders, and 2 of them died indirectly because of him. The entire Create Evolve Mysterious sect hates him to the core, but because many transformative stage experts are being monitored, they can't be easily mobilized and fall into a trap. But what if we can provide them with convenience and help them hide from the Hunyuan Heaven sect and even the Wuji Sword sect's eyes and ears? The man's eyes widened. Lord Chosen You, this. They forced me. Jie Su turned around and disappeared around the corner of the palace. Chaos Cave? Nalan Fei cultivated there for 19 days, and she broke through to the Azure Netherworld stage. I didn't expect the Hunyuan Heaven sect to have such a good place. As expected of one of the 10 great sects with a long history. After Tsing Hui finished his month-long mental energy tempering, he read the news with a surprised look on his face. It had to be said that although his current combat strength was no weaker than the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect, as an ancient sect with a history of over 10,000 years, the Hunyuan Heaven sect possessed many treasures and wondrous places that Tsing Hui could not compare to. This was the foundation that they had accumulated over thousands of years. The effect of the broken sword on my mental energy has decreased. It will take another month to completely temper my mental energy to the 80th order. Tsing Hui withdrew his thoughts from Nalan Fei. Although Nalan Fei had broken through to the Azure Netherworld stage, she had not finished her closed-door cultivation. Therefore, even if the Hunyuan Heaven sect wanted to appoint her as the new deputy sect master, they would have to wait until she finished her cultivation. A month has passed. There should be news from Sun Qi. Tsing Hui separated a part of his mental energy into his personal space and contacted Sun Qi. Sun Qi had been waiting for Tsing Hui's news for a long time. In less than a moment, he appeared in Tsing Hui's personal space and respectfully bowed. Greetings, Elder. How is the matter I instructed you to do? Reporting to Elder, this junior has been watching Doji for almost 20 hours every day for the past month. I dare not be negligent in the slightest. After speaking, Sun Qi seemed to think of something and hurriedly added, Doji is the person you asked me to pay attention to. Tsing Hui nodded. He did not pay much attention to the person's name. Did he show any abnormalities in the past month? It's strange. According to this junior's understanding, although Doji is already 15 years old, he should be a fool. It is said that he suffered some kind of blow when he was young and his mind was not developed. Even if he is 15 years old, he is not even comparable to a 4 or 5-year-old child. But for some reason, in the next month, he suddenly regained his consciousness. Although his reaction is still a little slow compared to an ordinary 15-year-old youth, he has already reached the level of a normal person. What this junior finds most inconceivable is, when Sun Qi said this, there was a trace of amazement in his eyes. I don't know what kind of heavenly treasure he swallowed, but his body actually gave birth to true qi that only true qi experts can possess. Moreover, the quality of this true qi is Saint Rank Phoenix true qi. However, he has not condensed the Phoenix divine spirit and is unable to control the power of this true qi. He can only passively allow this true qi to flow through his body, strengthen his body, and automatically protect his master. At present, an elder of our 6th Sacred Sword sect has personally come forward to accept him as a disciple and teach him the true Phoenix art in hopes that he can condense the Phoenix divine spirit and truly master this Saint Rank Phoenix true qi. Oh! Tsing Hui's heart moved slightly. Duo Ji's mind returning to normal was within Tsing Hui's expectations. After all, his primordial spirit qi that was worth 10 Dao rhythm was not wasted in vain. What surprised him was that Duo Ji was actually able to inherit the cultivation he left for him and become an illusory true qi expert, although he could not control this true qi because he had not condensed the corresponding divine spirit, but with the bits and pieces of Tsing Hui's golden crow divine spirit remaining in his spiritual world. He believed that the difficulty of comprehending the golden crow or phoenix divine spirit would be greatly reduced. I didn't expect the incarnation technique to bring about such a change. If I use such a technique to cultivate subordinates, wouldn't it be easy? Tsing Hui thought. But soon he expelled this idea from his mind. In order to cultivate Duo Ji, not only did he spend a strand of primordial spirit qi, he also used a portion of phoenix blood to cultivate him to the true qi realm. If he wanted to cultivate him to the spirit refining realm, spirit and qi unification realm, or even the green underworld realm, who knows how much more resources he would need. Moreover, according to Sun Qi's words, although Duo Ji had sufficient true qi in his body, he could not use it without condensing his divine spirit. Even if he had the saint-grade true qi at the peak of the true qi realm, his battle prowess would not be comparable to an ordinary true qi cultivator. In addition, other than the problem of the awakening realm, the spirit and qi unification realm, green underworld realm, and even the prominent divine realm were all problems that he would have to face. For example, the spirit and qi unification realm was the fusion of Tsing Hui's divine spirit, the green underworld realm was Tsing Hui's comprehension of heaven and earth, and the prominent divine realm was needless to say. Using this method to cultivate subordinates was definitely not worth the loss. It would be better to use the time to cultivate the magic arsenal technique. With a wave of his hand, there would be dozens of prominent divine realm experts. You've done well. The monitoring of Duo Ji can be slowed down a little. Report once a year will suffice. I have a special technique here called the spirit control technique. Why don't you learn it? This secret technique has miraculous uses, and it will be beneficial for you to break through to the spirit and qi unification realm. Many thanks, Senior. Tsing Hui nodded. Come over here. He imparted the spirit control technique to Sun Qi. On one hand, Sun Qi had been loyal to him during this period of time. On the other hand, he also wanted to know how effective the spirit control technique was for those who were not from the Fortune mainland and did not have the Fortune Jade. If he could obtain some useful cultivation experience from Sun Qi's spirit control technique, that would be best. Chapter 347. Firmament Realm, Firmament Realm. Tsing Hui once again appeared outside the book creation hall. Ah, Senior Brother Pak Hui? In the book creation hall, Yuling was registering the information of another cultivator under the guidance of a middle-aged man. When she saw Tsing Hui, she said to him, Senior brother, please wait a moment. Go ahead. Tsing Hui nodded and stood to the side. You're Pak Hui? At this moment, the middle-aged man who had brought a cultivator to join Firmament Realm turned around and looked at Tsing Hui, as if he wanted to see what was so special about him. Yes, how should I address you, Chairman? Tsing Hui glanced at the insignia on the man's clothes and cupped his hands. I'm Three Wonders. Venerable Three Wonders? Tsing Hui was slightly taken aback, but then he bowed again. Greetings, Venerable Three Wonders. Apart from the sword bearers, Firmament Realm also had 10 core members. Venerable Tsang Zhen, Venerable Firmament Realm, and Venerable Zhu Zhao were 3 of the 4 founders of Firmament Realm. As for the other founder, he had died many years ago. Apart from these 3, the rest were Venerable Three Wonders, Purple Sky Spiritual Master, and a few others. However, although Purple Sky Spiritual Master was one of the 10 core members, his status was inferior to Venerable Three Wonders. In Firmament Realm, and even in the entire Heaven Wasteland realm, those who could be addressed as venerable were usually those who had cultivated to the peak of the Saint Realm or above. This was the difference between the titles of the Celestial Phenomenon Realm and the Transcendent Realm. In particular, Venerable Three Wonders was not only one of the 10 core members of Firmament Realm, but also the Supreme Elder of the 6 Sacred Sects, one of the 3 sacred sects of Heaven Wasteland Realm. He had awakened the Soaring Serpent Bloodline, one of the 6 sacred sects, and had successfully condensed the Soaring Serpent Saint Body. Even at the Celestial Phenomenon Realm, he could condense more than 40% of the Soaring Serpent Body. Venerable Tsang Zhen and Venerable Zhu Zhao both have high hopes for you. I hope you won't disappoint them. Venerable Three Wonders nodded calmly at Tsing Hui and said no more. It didn't take long for Yuling to finish registering the cultivator. After that, Venerable Three Wonders left with the cultivator. Phew. Venerable Three Wonders isn't as easy to talk to as Venerable Tsang Zhen. Yuling said with a sigh. That person just now looking at his aura, I'm afraid he's not just a spirit-refining cultivator. He is not a spirit-refining cultivator, but someone who has cultivated the immortal golden Dan and can live forever. Immortal golden pill? Qing Su was slightly taken aback. I remember that the Sky Dome sect only recruits those below the spirit-refining realm or those above the Almighty realm. Could it be that he's related to some big shot in our Sky Dome realm? That's not it. 3 months ago, Heaven's Dome loosened the standards for recruiting new members. Now, those who have cultivated the immortal golden core can also join us. The standards for recruiting members have been relaxed? Sing Huey's eyes lit up. Is Sky Dome going to recruit people on a large scale? Sky Dome had 2 invincible giants, Venerable Zhu Zhao and Venerable Tsang Zhen. Below them, there were 6 peak figures who had condensed the law manifestations of heaven and earth. In terms of strength, Sky Dome was ranked in the middle of the top 10 chaos organizations. The reason why it couldn't compare to the other chaos organizations was because it had too few members. It was said that Sky Dome had less than 3,000 members, including the outer members. Compared to the other 9 chaos organizations, which had at least 10,000 members, it was far from enough. If Sky Dome could really relax its standards and recruit people on a large scale, it wouldn't be an extravagant hope for Sky Dome to reach the middle or even the upper reaches in a very short time. Because Venerable Zhu Zhao, he was an invincible existence who had already reached the divine realm and had raised his divine technique and recovery ability to the peak of the 10th rank. Relying on these 2 abilities, his battle strength was so strong that it couldn't be compared to ordinary experts of the divine realm. This was also the reason why he could be called the top expert of Sky Dome realm and also one of the top 10 experts of Infinite Wasteland domain. Yes, we've recently recruited hundreds of members, each of whom is an expert who has cultivated the immortal golden core. Why did the top management of Sky Dome suddenly make such a decision in the past 3 months? I don't know, but it seems to have something to do with the Green Sky Alliance. Green Sky Alliance. Sing Hui carefully recalled and soon understood this force. It was one of the forces that was second only to the top 10 chaos organizations, similar to Divine Punishment, Star Palace, and Moon Star. Yes, it's the Green Sky Alliance. In recent years, Green Sky Alliance has had a lot of conflicts with Sky Dome. Compared to Divine Punishment, Green Sky Alliance seems to be slightly stronger. How could they have the guts to attack Sky Dome? Aren't they afraid of ending up like Divine Punishment? Yuling glanced around and whispered sneakily, "In fact, when I was eavesdropping, I heard that the Green Sky Alliance and the Divine Punishment Alliance were actually the same force. However, they were worried that they would rise too fast and be suppressed by us, the top 10 chaos organizations, so they split into 2. Because the higher-ups of Heaven Dome knew this, and the Green Sky Alliance and the Divine Punishment Alliance faintly felt that Heaven Dome was easy to bully and wanted to replace Heaven Dome, Heaven Dome took advantage of the fact that the Divine Punishment Alliance and the Green Sky Alliance hadn't completely merged into one force to launch a thunderous strike and completely suppress the Divine Punishment Alliance, lest the 2 chaos organizations really become a threat to Heaven Dome. After they merge and cause great damage to our vitality. The Sky-Bearing Alliance and Divine Punishment want to replace Sky Dome. Sing Huey's expression changed slightly. The Divine Punishment Alliance had 4 experts above the 25th level of the Chaos Plane, while the Sky Pillar Alliance had 5 25th level Chaos Children. If these 2 forces were to join forces, they would indeed pose a significant threat to Sky Dome. I've only heard about it. Although Green Sky Alliance isn't strong, Sky Dome has just had a war with Divine Punishment. Although we have a 90% chance of winning if we fight again, the war with Chaos has always been about harming others without benefiting oneself. It's meaningless to consume a lot of energy, so Sky Dome's top management plans to defeat Green Sky Alliance in the real world. This is why we need to recruit more experts in the Endless Realm and the Golden Elixir Realm. Yuling said somewhat embarrassedly, "In fact, I've only heard about it from hearsay. I'm not sure whether it's true or not. If Senior Brother Pak Hui wants to know, you can ask Venerable Master directly. But I don't know what Venerable Master is busy with during this period of time. He's often absent, and he's not here now." He's not here? Sing Hui was a little disappointed. If he couldn't find Venerable Master Tsang Zhen, he could only find Venerable Master Zhu Zhao. He immediately nodded to Yuling, "Don't talk about this kind of thing that hasn't been confirmed yet, lest it causes panic." "I know. I've only told you, Senior Brother. I've kept my mouth shut about the others. Well, I'll leave now." I'll come to find Venerable Master Tsongzhen later. After Tsing Hui left the book creation hall, he quickly contacted Venerable Master Zhu Zhao through Venerable Master Tsongzhen's imprint. Venerable Master Zhu Zhao didn't let Tsing Hui wait too long this time. Not long after, the void changed, and his figure appeared in a palace. However, this palace was not where the large chessboard was, but a strange hall. This was the first time that Tsing Hui saw Venerable Master Zhu Zhao leave the chessboard. That chessboard was said to be related to the cave treasure of a top expert. Venerable Master Zhu Zhao and Venerable Master Tsang Qiong had been studying the chessboard day and night, trying to find a way to open the cave. Now they actually left the chessboard and came here to do something. It could be seen that Venerable Master Tsongzhen was really in big trouble. When Tsing Hui came to the hall, he seemed to be talking with a young man who looked to be in his 20s. At this time, the man stepped aside. "Pak Hui, you're here. There's something you need to think about." "Venerable Master, please tell me." Tsing Hui cupped his hands and said, Venerable Master Zhu Zhao, Venerable Master Tsongzhen, and others had helped him a lot. If it was something that he could help with, he would do his best. "Don't worry. Let's talk about your matter first," Venerable Master Zhu Zhao said. "My Golden Crow lineage has already cultivated to the prominent divine stage, and from the prominent divine stage to the true energy stage is the cultivation method of the saint stage. I don't know what choice I should make, so I specially came here in hopes of receiving your guidance." "Oh." Venerable Master Zhu Zhao looked at Tsing Hui and his eyes lit up slightly. Your essence, energy, and spirit have indeed undergone a great change. Your soul, in particular, has been honed to an extraordinary degree." Tsing Hui sighed in relief when he heard this. It was worth it for him to spend a few months polishing his spirit, and he did not even bother to cultivate those few supreme immortal techniques. This time, Exalted Zhuangzhao and Exalted Tsongzhen did not mention that his spirit was not tempered enough. Your essence, energy, and spirit have not dissipated. Have you cultivated the vital energy void technique to the mastery stage? Yes. Since you've cultivated the vital energy void technique to the mastery stage, it'll be much easier for you to refine your vital energy to the origin stage. Your chances of condensing divine-grade vital energy will also be much higher when you break through to the true energy stage. Of course, the cultivation method of condensing vital energy will play a crucial role in the final quality of vital energy. Venerable Master Zhu Zhao pondered for a moment. The Golden Crow bloodline, and the Torch Dragon bloodline as well. Let me see what cultivation method is more suitable. The man who was waiting at the side seemed to have thought of something when he saw Venerable Master Zhu Zhao deep in thought. He said, "Master, what do you think of the world-burning technique?" "World-burning technique?" Venerable Master Zhu Zhao was slightly stunned. Then he frowned and said, "This cultivation method is too blazing and domineering. It's not easy to cultivate. If you're not careful, you'll end up being burned by the true fire and exploding to death. I heard that junior brother Pak Hui has also awakened the Torch Dragon bloodline and cultivated the Torch Sun Sutra. The Torch Sun Sutra has always been focused on stability and nourishment. With this cultivation method, it can slightly neutralize some of the domineering vital energy cultivated from the world-burning technique and the series of divine abilities derived from it. The world-burning technique and the Great Sun Illumination technique are both first-rate divine scriptures of the Annihilation sect. However, the Annihilation sect set the Great Sun Illumination technique as the sect's divine scripture instead of the world-burning technique because it's too easy for accidents to happen when cultivating this cultivation method. The Great Sun Illumination technique and the Six Suns World Suppression technique are better. Venerable Master Zhu Zhao shook his head. It's not easy to obtain those two cultivation methods. "Master, why don't you let junior brother Pak Hui choose for himself?" the man said with a smile. There was a hint of friendliness in his eyes as he looked at Tsing Hui. Chapter 348. My choice. Hearing this, esteemed Zhu Zhao pondered for a while and turned his gaze to Tsing Hui. What Remnant Sword said makes sense. The choice of your future path is ultimately in your own hands. My words can only serve as a reference. The spells that are more suitable for you to cultivate are the Burning World Incantation, the Grand Sun Incantation, and the Six Suns World Suppression Incantation. These 3 divine classics are all of the best quality. Remnant Sword. Ching Su glanced at the man. He never would have thought that he would be one of the 2 most renowned disciples of the Venerable Zhu Zhao. He was the remnant sword of a great being who had cultivated an ability. It was said that he had only begun cultivating for less than 2 centuries. After a while, Xing Hui retracted his gaze and cupped his hands. Esteemed Zhu Zhao, please tell me the differences between these 3 spells. As for the Abhijna and the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, they are also mainly destructive and offensive. While they are powerful, they are also prone to have drawbacks. This Abhijna has only been unearthed for a short period of time, only 1,600 years. So far, only 1 person has cultivated it to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. The others have either changed to other Abhijna techniques or died from chi deviation. Although it has many drawbacks, its only advantage is that it is powerful, especially the Abhijna. Once the Abhijna is cultivated, its lethality is far beyond that of ordinary Abhijna techniques. Xing Hui nodded slightly. As for the Grand Sun Incantation, it is neutral and peaceful. Perhaps there is nothing praiseworthy about it, but it is the most stable to cultivate. The Annihilation sect relied on this divine classic to become one of the top 3 sects in terms of the number of almighties in the 1 hall, 3 sects, 6 religions, and 9 gates. Stable? Xing Hui was slightly stunned. The blazing and domineering Golden Crow bloodline had been cultivated in the most stable direction by the Annihilation sect. This was also a kind of ability. As for the Six Suns World Suppressing art, it's an art that leans towards the overbearing style. The sun in the sky can suppress the world. If this secret art is successfully cultivated, with the aid of the cultivator's own force, the cultivator can awaken several large-scale divine abilities, which can produce incredible effects when fighting against the weak. This secret art belongs to the Glorious Era sect. Years ago, an almighty of the Glorious Era sect once used this divine ability to transform into a sun, illuminating a dominating sect of a medium-sized continent. It directly wiped out millions of disciples of the dominating sect of the continent, turning the sect that spanned tens of thousands of kilometers into a scorched hell. Thousands of true energy realm experts died tragically, including 164 ancestors who had cultivated the immortal gold core. In the end, Master Zhu Zhao added, although that person awakened the bloodline of the holy beast phoenix, he was already crippled when he was in the prominent divine stage. When he was in the true element stage, he could only condense spiritual grade true essence. Hiss! Hearing Master Zhu Zhao's words, Xing Hui could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. There was a huge difference between the transcendent realm and the golden core realm, but this did not mean that those almighty who had cultivated ordinary divine abilities could reach the level where they could ignore numbers. If an almighty who derived ordinary divine abilities from the spirit-grade golden core realm were to face the encirclement of hundreds of golden core realm experts, they would only die. Even those who derived great divine abilities from the saint-grade true essence and the saint-grade golden core realm had to be careful when facing hundreds of golden core realm experts. If they underestimated the enemy, it was very likely that they would fail miserably. To reach the level where they could ignore numbers, only those supreme divine abilities derived from the divine-grade golden core realm could do so. But now, according to Master Zhu Zhao, this almighty of the Glorious Era sect had actually relied on an ordinary divine ability derived from the spirit-grade golden core realm to kill 164 golden core realm experts? This power, it was almost at the level of a supreme divine ability. Is it really just an ordinary divine ability that he derived? Xing Hui was in disbelief. How can it be fake? That's why this divine ability is said to be good at using the strong to defeat the weak and fighting against the many. The Glorious Era sect's Six Suns World Suppression art is indeed very famous. In the current cultivation world, because once one reaches the golden core realm, one's lifespan can be extended by 3,000 years. Although there are only a few who can live for 3,000 years, as long as one's health is good and with some heavenly treasures, there is still a high chance of living for 2,000 years. On the contrary, Transcendent Realm and Never-Ending Realm experts do not have such a unique advantage. Even if the Never-Ending Realm experts can circulate their true essence automatically, they can only live for 500 to 600 years. As a result, there is a rather strange phenomenon in the cultivation world. There are more Golden Core Realm cultivators than Never-Ending Realm cultivators. In a powerful second-rate sect, there might only be about 100 True Essence Realm experts, 20 to 30 Transcendent Realm experts, and less than 10 Never-Ending Realm experts. However, those who have broken through to the Golden Core Realm are bound to number at least 30. Because of this phenomenon, divine abilities derived from the Glorious Era sect's Six Suns world suppression art have suddenly become very important. When Xing Hui heard this, he couldn't help thinking about the phenomenon in the Fortune mainland. He had thought that the number of false core realm cultivators exceeding never-ending realm cultivators only appeared in the Fortune mainland. Who would have thought that the Heaven Wasteland world was also the same, and even more so than the Fortune mainland? The three divine abilities each have their own advantages and disadvantages, but in terms of difficulty in obtaining them, they can be ranked as the Six Suns World Suppression Art, Great Sun World Illumination Art, and World Burning Art. If one were to purchase it in terms of Tao Rhythm, even if it were to give face to Master, the Six Suns World Suppression Art is estimated to cost 300 to 400 Tao Rhythm. The Great Sun World Illumination Art is similar, but due to the Annihilation sect's special request, the World Burning Art can be purchased for 200 Tao Rhythm. Kanjian said. 200 Tao Rhythm? Xing Hui inquired. Then what request did the Annihilation sect make? The World Burning Art's level is not low, but because it is too dangerous to cultivate, the number of people in the Annihilation sect who cultivate it is decreasing. In order to solve this problem, the Annihilation sect is willing to sell this divine ability for 200 Tao Rhythm. However, the cultivator who cultivates this divine ability must contribute their cultivation experience and insights to the Annihilation sect every time they break through to the next realm, so that the Annihilation sect can better understand this divine ability. This Annihilation sect has a good idea. Pak Hui, are you from the Eastern Wasteland world? If you don't have enough Tao Rhythm, you can choose to join the Annihilation sect. As long as you contribute to the Annihilation sect, you will be able to exchange for the World Burning Arts cultivation method. It is said that the World Burning Arts cultivation method only costs less than 2,000 contribution points. In other words, if you work for the Annihilation sect and serve them loyally for 3 to 5 years, you will be able to learn the World Burning Art. Among the many divine scriptures, it is considered the easiest divine ability to learn. 200 Tao Rhythms? Xing Hui pondered for a while and said, I am willing to buy the World Burning Art. How can I contact the Annihilation sect? Seeing that Xing Hui had decided to buy the World Burning Art, Savage Sword and esteemed Zhu Zhao both looked surprised. Not long ago, I coincidentally obtained some Tao-carrying items. That is why I have the confidence to buy the cultivation method of the Saint Level 6 in one go. Xing Hui explained. If you buy it with 200 Tao Rhythms, it will be much easier. I have other matters to attend to, so it is not convenient for me to make a trip personally. I will just send a message to the Annihilation sect. It is related to the transaction of 200 Tao Rhythms. It is not difficult for the Annihilation sect to make a trip personally. The Annihilation sect will still respect this little bit of face. Esteemed Zhu Zhao said. Although the Annihilation sect also had an invincible Saint-level powerhouse, the Saint-level powerhouse of the Annihilation sect was obviously inferior to esteemed Zhu Zhao. Thank you, esteemed Zhu Zhao. Is there anything else? That is it. Then, I will tell you about this matter. You can think about it. As esteemed Zhu Zhao spoke, he glanced at Savage Sword and said, Help me send a message to the Annihilation sect master. Yes, master. Savage Sword responded, cupped his hands and left. Before leaving, he smiled at Xing Hui and said, Junior brother Pak Hui, although Master did not take you in as a disciple, you are indebted to Master for his many teachings. You can be considered as half of my junior brother. Let's get closer in the future. If I go to Infinite Region in the future, I will pay a visit. Okay, I will wait for you. Savage Sword said and left the hall. Qing Su watched as Can Jian left and sank into his thoughts. This was the Reverend Zhu Zhao sending Can Jian away. Just what was it that the Reverend Zhu Zhao was unwilling to let the disciple he had personally nurtured know about? But in the next moment, Xing Hui understood the reason. According to Firmament, your chaotic level has reached level 26, right? Yes. Have you heard about the War of Chaos? I have heard about it. When Xing Hui heard esteemed Zhu Zhao mention this, his heart suddenly moved. Is it because of the Qingtian alliance? This matter has caused a stir. I didn't expect you to have heard about it. Yes, it has something to do with the Qingtian alliance. But the most important thing is not the Qingtian alliance, but the hidden hand behind the Qingtian alliance, Heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao? Xing Hui's face changed. The Heavenly Tao, Divine Wilderness, and Eternal were the three most powerful chaos organizations in the entire Chaos Temple. Compared to the Sky Vault, Sword Shadow, Crimson Wings, Sun Moon Divine Court, and other chaos organizations, these three chaos organizations were a level stronger. The gap between them might not reach the level of Create Evolve Mystical Sect and Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, but it was not far off. These three organizations of the chaos had always been fighting openly and covertly, keeping each other in check. None of them could do anything to the other. It was precisely because of this that the Sky Dome, Sword Shadow, Taishang, Judgment, All Saints Hall, Crimson Wings, Sun Moon Divine Court, and other organizations of the chaos could survive. If these three organizations of the chaos had the time, none of the organizations of the Sky Dome and the other organizations of the chaos would be able to resist them in a one-on-one battle. That's right, it's the way of heaven. The Way of Heaven secretly supported the Green Sky Alliance and the Divine Punishment and tried every means to expand. It wanted to use them as a trump card at a critical moment. However, because it violated the interests of Heaven Dome and was misled by the wrong information of the Divine Wilderness, it thought that the Divine Punishment and the Green Sky Alliance were originally one. Therefore, it made the first move to gain the upper hand and broke out the chaotic war with the Divine Punishment. We only learned the truth of this matter when we pursued the practitioners of the Divine Punishment. When Qing Su heard that, he immediately understood the severity of the matter. The Heavenly Tao will attack our Heaven's Dome. It is still unknown at the moment. After all, they have the Divine Wilderness and Eternal organizations to hold them back, but we have to make relevant preparations. Moreover, if Heavenly Tao really wants to deal with us, the battlefield is very likely to be in the Chaos Temple. Otherwise, even the entire Heavenly Tao may not be able to withstand my anger. Xing Hui could hear the confidence in Master Zhu Zhao's voice. 10th level Divine Art, 10th level Recovery, and other abilities. That made him dare to go against Heavenly Tao alone. If Heavenly Tao really wants to attack us, it will definitely break out a chaotic war with Firmament. Only by defeating Firmament on the battlefield of the chaotic war, depriving me of my chaotic level, making me lose my 10th level Recovery, 10th level Divine Art, and 5th level Torch Dragon Bloodline talent will they have the confidence to fight me. And if a chaotic war really breaks out, we will have to make targeted arrangements according to the various characteristics of every top son of chaos. You, who are at the 26th level of chaos, will definitely be included in our scope of observation. Therefore, you need to consider whether you will choose to contribute your own strength and live and die with Firmament in the event of a chaotic war, or leave in advance to protect yourself. Chapter 349. War of Chaos. Xing Hui's heart sank slightly. War of Chaos. Venerable Master Zhu Zhao nodded slightly. Xing Hui fell silent. After a while, he asked, "Aren't there only 10 people in the War of Chaos? There should be more than 10 people in Celestial Vault whose chaos level is above 25. There are indeed more than 10 people. However, if it's just the Qingtian Alliance, then it's fine. However, once the Heavenly Tao interferes, the situation is not as simple as we think. Although only 10 people can participate in the War of Chaos and it can last for a maximum of 3 days, this doesn't mean that a chaos organization can only face one War of Chaos in 3 days." Qing Su suddenly thought of something when he heard that. "You're saying Be it the start of the War of Chaos or the end of the War of Chaos, there are only 24 hours in between, which is one day. If we can destroy the force that is fighting against us in one day, we will naturally be able to deal with the second War of Chaos. However, if the first War of Chaos is in a stalemate, and the second, or even the third War of Chaos breaks out right after, Xing Hui understood. Naturally, the 10 25th level Sons of Chaos were powerful, but this didn't mean that the number of 25th level Sons of Chaos among them had reached 20 or 30. Even if they used the reserved Taoist rhymes to increase the chaos level of the second and third teams, they still couldn't increase the chaos level of those people. The reason why the three major chaos organizations of Eternity, Heavenly Tao, and Divine Wilderness do not dare to attack us rashly is that they are worried that 3 of the 7 major chaos organizations will join forces. When they target one of the major chaos organizations, the other 2 organizations will not hesitate to start a war of chaos against them. This way, even if they can win one battle, as long as they lose one battle in the other 2 battles, they will lose everything and the Heavenly Tao will become nothing. This is also the reason why our 7 major chaos organizations can survive despite being weaker than the other 3 major chaos organizations. But now, this situation is faintly being broken. Why? Venerable Master Zhu Zhao glanced at Xing Hui. Because the people of Eternity, Heavenly Tao, and Divine Wilderness feel that there are too many Sons of Chaos in our world. Once there are more Sons of Chaos, the Taoist items will be divided equally, and their interests will become smaller and smaller. They want to clear the area? Xing Hui broke out in a cold sweat. Esteemed Zhu Zhao nodded. In fact, before the Divine Wilderness was destroyed 10,000 years ago, there were only 4 large chaos organizations in the entire Divine Wilderness. One of them was called the Immortal Emperor, and this chaos organization was the number 1 chaos organization in the Divine Wilderness. Unfortunately, it was defeated by the combined forces of the Heavenly Tao, the Eternal, and the Divine Wilderness. That was the battle that destroyed the Divine Wilderness. At that time, the Immortal Emperor obtained an item that contained thousands of Tao auras. If he used this item as a reserve, the Heavenly Tao, the Eternal, and the Divine Wilderness would have been in danger. Therefore, they had to take advantage of the fact that the Immortal Emperor was not prepared to fight against him. After that, the Immortal Emperor was defeated, and the Eternal, the Heavenly Tao, and the Divine Wilderness suffered great losses. Taking advantage of the 3 chaos organizations' losses, we, the Heavenly Tao, and the Divine Wilderness rose up. Can't the Sword Shadow, Grand Supreme, Judgment, Temple of All Saints, Crimson Wings, and Sun Moon Divine Court see this problem clearly? Will they just watch as the 3 chaos organizations rise? There are too many implications. Our Sky Dome is a bit better as we are a new organization. Although there are 10 core organizations, the ones who truly make the decisions are me and Sky Dome. However, the Grand Supreme, Temple of All Saints, Sun Moon Divine Court, and Sword Shadow have too many conflicts of interest. In the Temple of All Saints, there are 3 chairmen in the Temple of All Saints. However, apart from esteemed Master Kong Ming, who is the founder of the Temple of All Saints, the remaining esteemed Master East Travel and esteemed Master Peony are related to the 1 Hall, 3 sects, 6 religions, and 9 gates. Esteemed Master East Travel is a Grand Supreme Elder of the Great Desolate Sect, and the Grand Supreme is even more exaggerated. According to our investigation, 4 out of the 12 people in the Grand Supreme's core circle are Grand Supreme Elders of the Divine Tao Sect. Xing Hui had heard of the Divine Tao Sect before. The Divine Tao Sect was actually a subordinate organization of the Heavenly Tao. It was like the Divine Punishment Palace in the real world. The Heavenly Tao was not limited to the Divine Tao Sect, but the Divine Tao Sect was derived from the Heavenly Tao. Xing Hui's heart skipped a beat as he suddenly thought of something. Our Sky Dome's esteemed Master 3 Wonders, esteemed Master Zhenjiao nodded. Esteemed Master 3 Wonders belongs to the 6 sacred sects. The 6 sacred sects and the Illuminating Era sect have always been allies. As for the background of the Illuminating Era sect, I don't think I need to say more, right? Behind the Illuminating Era sect was one of the three peak chaos organizations, the Eternal. The Eternal supported the Illuminating Era sect, the Divine Wilderness supported the Great Desolate sect, and the Heavenly Tao sect contributed to the Divine Tao sect. This was the foundation of the establishment of the 10 great chaos organizations. The reason why they were able to have such a high reputation was because everyone understood that even if there was a problem with the Eternal, the Divine Wilderness, and the Heavenly Tao, they would be able to find the location of these organizations and demand an explanation. Even though the Eternal, the Heavenly Tao, and the Divine Wilderness have never stopped fighting with each other, they have never underestimated the remaining 7 great chaos organizations. They have always sent people to secretly infiltrate our organizations. If the Eternal, the Heavenly Tao, and the Divine Wilderness really set aside their prejudices and work together to clear the area, the Temple of All Saints, Grand Supreme, and the Sun Moon Divine Court will all be affected. Even our Sky Dome is no exception. Even though the Sky Dome is impregnable due to our high reputation, if the Heavenly Tao, the Eternal, and the Divine Wilderness really tear apart our face, the other organizations that have been hiding in our Sky Dome will still be very passive. After all, the Chaos Temple is different from the real world. It is far too difficult to find out their true identities, let alone know everything about them. Not long ago, the Divine Wilderness used wrong information to mislead our Sky Dome and trick the Heavenly Tao. The 3 of them shouldn't have reached an agreement so easily. It's better to be safe than sorry. Unlike the immortal Emperor organizations that were born and formed in our Divine Wilderness world, the Heavenly Tao, the Eternal, and the Divine Wilderness have very mysterious origins. It is said that they are related to outer space. At this point, the Venerable Master Zhu Zhao shook his head, as if he felt that it was too early to tell Tsing Hui these things. At present, we can only pin our hopes on the Heavenly Tao, the Eternal, and the Divine Wilderness not being able to reach an agreement to clear the area. Otherwise, many of the chaos organizations, including us, will become very dangerous. As for us, we can only cooperate with the other second-tier chaos organizations as soon as possible and unite the first and second-tier chaos organizations to strengthen ourselves and increase our ability to resist the risks. Tsing Hui nodded. This information is currently only known to the upper echelons of our Sky Dome. Ordinary people don't know, so don't spread it. I understand. I will keep my mouth shut. Okay. The Venerable Master Zhu Zhao nodded. Think about this carefully. Don't be in a hurry to give me an answer. Your cultivation is a little low, so you will still be at a disadvantage in the war against the chaos. Therefore, I will respect your choice. Tsing Hui was silent for a moment. If the Heavenly Tao, the Eternal, and the Divine Wilderness really choose to clear the area, will we, the Sons of Chaos whose ranks are above 25, be spared? Impossible. The Venerable Master Zhu Zhao shook his head. Their purpose of clearing the area is to get the Tao carrying items that contain the Tao. Once they complete the clearing, all the 25 Sons of Chaos will be killed by them. This way, only the Sons of Chaos from the 3 families can use the incarnation technique to plunder the Tao carrying items on the various continents and form a monopoly. Therefore, the birth of any 25 Sons of Chaos that may threaten their interests will definitely be suppressed by them. In that case, I naturally have no other choice. Tsing Hui raised his head and looked at the Venerable Master Zhu Zhao. There is no need to consider. I will join. Seeing Tsing Hui agree, the Venerable Master Zhu Zhao sighed in his heart. Although the current situation is deteriorating, it has not reached the point of imminent danger. You don't have to worry too much. Continue to do what you should do. Moreover, if certain aspects are confirmed, we will try our best to strike first to gain the upper hand and nip the crisis in the bud. After all, the major chaos organizations are not weak. If the Heavenly Tao, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal really want to target us, they will definitely have to pay the price. I understand. Tsing Hui said and paused. Venerable Master, I want to know, what is the key to victory in the war against the chaos? Key? The Venerable Master Zhu Zhao shook his head. There is no key. Every battlefield has different aspects that determine victory and defeat, and the ability used to determine victory and defeat is also different. It may be the appraisal technique, the bloodline talent, or other reasons. There are too many variables. There is a bloodline talent. Xing Hui was stunned. Of course, in historical records, there was a cultivator who raised the bloodline talent of the white tiger to level 10. He persuaded a white tiger holy beast that lived in seclusion on the battlefield and directly wiped out all 10 participants of the other side, establishing victory. Therefore, I can only say that in order to win, the cultivator's strength and the various means he has mastered account for 20%. The chaos level accounts for 60%. Luck is almost equivalent to personal strength accounts for 20%. This is also the reason why we always bring a cultivator with level 10 luck every time. I want to read the information of the previous wars against the chaos. Sure. Since you've agreed to join the war against chaos as a reserve member, I'll discuss with Firmament and other core members and grant you the authority of a member of the council. However, because your strength in the real world is too weak, we won't announce your identity for your safety. The authority of a member of the council? Xing Hui was slightly taken aback. Didn't this mean that he only needed to report to Venerable Master Ge Yun, who was in charge of resource allocation, and then he could go to the core of the Great Sun to cultivate? I will obtain the world-burning art for you as soon as possible so that you can raise your cultivation level as soon as possible. However, in the war against the chaos, mental strength level is more important than cultivation level. You still have to focus on sharpening your mental strength. Unfortunately, I can't help you in this aspect. You have to rely on yourself, Venerable Master Zhu Zhao said. I understand. Thank you, Venerable Master. Please rest assured that Firmament will not lose so easily. Venerable Master Zhu Zhao smiled and waved his hand. I hope so. All right, you may go. Pak Hui will take her leave. Xing Hui cupped his hands. After leaving the palace where Venerable Master Zhu Zhao was, he glanced at the chaos interface. It seemed that he had to put aside the matter of comprehending immortal techniques for now. The most important thing now was to raise his chaos level as soon as possible. Otherwise, once Firmament and Heavenly Tao lost the war against the chaos, their chaos level would be stripped, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Chapter 350. 3 big variables and countless small variables. The 3 big variables are usually related to the upper limit of the chaos level. The 3 big variables, with each variable, increase the chances of victory by 20% to 30%. If all 3 variables are taken into account, victory is almost guaranteed. However, it's extremely difficult to complete all 3 variables. Usually, a single variable can tilt the battle. Just as esteemed Zhu Zhao said, a son of chaos with the talent of a level 10 white tiger bloodline can invite a white tiger holy beast to help him in battle. This is one of the 3 big variables. This variable doesn't have a high requirement for the chaos level. Logically speaking, a level 10 son of chaos should be able to complete it. However, how many people in the world can pour their chaos level into a bloodline that just so happens to correspond to the holy beast on the battlefield? Therefore, the difficulty is far from as simple as one might imagine. The characteristics of a son of chaos must be diverse and complex in order to obtain a greater chance of victory. Moreover, the completion criteria for the 3 big variables are closely related to the average level of the participants. The completion criteria are usually 10 to 20 levels higher than the average level. For example, the average level of the participants in the battle is 20 levels. Usually, the completion criteria are only completed after the teleportation technique has reached an extremely high level. Of course, although the incarnation technique can achieve a similar effect, it's still inferior to the teleportation technique. Also, the War of Chaos, where the average level of the participants in the battle is 25 levels. The main goal is to search for a supreme treasure? Search for a supreme treasure? Luck is important. But if there's a deduction technique that can deduce the whereabouts of that treasure, won't that give one a great advantage? No wonder every chaos organization would store up a large amount of Taoist rhymes in preparation for the War of Chaos. They can adjust their chaos level according to the 3 big variables in the battle. After the War of Chaos begins, They can use the method of concentrating their Taoist rhymes to upgrade a Son of Chaos and immediately gain an advantage in a big variable. Of course, the prerequisite is that they know which variable this advantage represents. After all the big and small variables can only be obtained after entering the battlefield. Qing Su spent an entire month in the Sutra Library in the sky, constantly reading through the various wars of chaos that had occurred throughout the history of the Chaos Hall. There were more than 3,000 battles of chaos recorded in the Celestial Vault, and Xing Hui did not miss any of them. However, these battles of chaos were of very low levels. Like the Celestial Vault and Godly Punishment, the average level of the participants was at level 25. Only 1/6 of the large-scale battles were recorded, and there were less than 500 battles of chaos. Usually, the battles of chaos were limited to level 15 or level 20, which made Xing Hui curious about the origin of their orders of the realm of battles. If there are too many small variables, the quantitative change will also lead to qualitative change. If I take all the small variables, I can almost be compared with the two big variables. However, there are too many small variables, often hundreds of them. It's not easy to take all of them. It's better to take advantage of the three big variables. And the three big variables, apart from some stiff luck factors, almost all of them have to be 10 to 20 levels higher than the average level of the participants in the battle. Xing Hui thought for a while, if I can increase the chaos level of the Celestial Vault, I can take the advantage in the War of Chaos with my own high chaos level. In the chaos organizations such as the Celestial Vault, the Sword Shadow, the Crimson Wings, and the Most High, the highest level of the chaos level was usually at level 29, and the average level was around level 26 to level 27. The Divine Wilderness, the Eternal, and the Heavenly Axiom were stronger than the Celestial Vault, the Sword Intent, and the Crimson Wings, but due to the restrictions of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, the average level was at level 29 at most. However, in order to ensure their dominance and superiority, they would often pour in a large amount of Taoist rhymes to cultivate 1 or 2 Sons of Chaos whose chaos level was above level 30. With the Divine Wilderness, the Heavenly Axiom, and the Eternal's Foundation, even with the restrictions of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, it was enough to push their chaos level up to level 35, or even level 40. In this way, their chaos level would definitely reach level 30. In addition, they calculated with 2,000 reserved Taoist rhymes, there would be 3 to 4 people who met the requirements to complete this big variable, which was enough to make the second-tier chaos organizations feel despair. It was no wonder that the Heavenly Axiom, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal's Chaos War were always successful. My chaos level is now level 35. If I want to raise the Celestial Vault's chaos level to the same level as the Heavenly Axiom, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal, I have to reach level 55 at least. Only when his chaos level reached level 55 would Celestial Vault not be at a disadvantage against the Heavenly Axiom. And by relying on his chaos level 55, he wouldn't completely rely on luck when fighting for those big variables, and he would do his best to increase his chances of winning the Chaos War. Level 55, Xing Hui muttered to himself. Thinking of the time he had spent to become a level 10 Son of Chaos. As long as the Celestial Vault and the Heavenly Axiom don't break out into a Chaos War in the next 5 to 6 years, I might be able to raise the Chaos level. Xing Hui glanced at the Taoist rhymes accumulated in his creation jade. In the previous month, he had focused all his attention on tempering his mind. In this month, he had focused all his attention on studying every detail of the War of Chaos. He had no time to comprehend those supreme immortal arts. As a result, the number of Taoist rhymes accumulated in the Fortune Jade had reached 120. In addition to the Taoist rhymes he had left after deducting 1 point from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion every day, 358, I can consider raising the chaos level by another level. Xing Hui glanced at the Creation Jade. Using the Taoist rhymes in the Creation Jade to raise the chaos level was really not worth the loss. Xing Hui vaguely had the thought of borrowing the Celestial Vault's power to raise his chaos level. But a moment later, in the end he suppressed this thought. Raising the chaos level from level 26 to level 35 in just over a year? How could he explain that? Even if he could explain it, could he guarantee that the celestial vault and the venerable candle illumination would still be as unmoved as they were now in the face of a level 35 son of chaos who was only at the prominent divine stage? Therefore, unless he was faced with a chaos war and had no choice but to reveal his chaos level, he would definitely not tell others his true chaos level. He had even thought about it. If his true chaos level was exposed in the chaos war between the celestial vault and the heavenly Tao, he would immediately leave the eastern wilderness for safety's sake. But even so, he would still have to face the danger of the sword wielder. Therefore, in the following chaos levels, he would focus on raising the level of his personal space and forming an immortal body to ensure that nothing would go wrong. The temptation of such a high chaos level was simply too great. He did not dare to entrust his safety to others' moral bottom line. Level 36. Sing Hui's gaze focused on the chaos interface. Along with the number of chaos level 35 blurring, it became clear again in the next moment. At the same time, the Taoist rhymes in the creation jade decreased by a whole 100 points. Raise my personal space to level 10. Sing Hui did not hesitate to put the newly obtained chaos level into his personal space. His personal space, which had already become extremely vast, rapidly expanded again. Moreover, due to the difference between level 5 and level 6, he could feel that he could freely control the direction of expansion of his personal space. Sing Hui did not make any other adjustments to his personal space. In any case, his personal space's horizontal area had already reached 1 million meters, which was a full 1,000 kilometers. It could easily accommodate anything. There are 20 Taoist rhymes in the creation jade. There are 358 Taoist rhymes among the many Taoist items. However, these Taoist rhymes cannot be used. Instead, they must be used to purchase saint-level cultivation techniques. I wonder if Exalted Zhu Zhao has helped me trade for the world-burning art. Sing Hui thought to himself as he withdrew his consciousness from the sutra depository. Almost a moment after he left the sutra depository, a voice rang in his ears. Pak Hui, are you free? Exalted Heavenly Master? Sing Hui immediately replied, I'm free. Exalted Heavenly Master, what are your orders? Buzz. As soon as Sing Hui responded, the surrounding environment changed drastically. When Sing Hui reappeared, he was already outside a small courtyard. This courtyard was located at the peak of a mountain. Looking down from this mountain, one could easily see the endless sea of clouds. More than half of the Sky Dome realm was in sight. Wait a moment. Song Zhen and Zhu Zhao will come over immediately after they settle the matters at hand. The three of us should be able to discuss how to give you the authority of a counselor. Exalted Heavenly Master said with a smile. Sing Hui responded. I heard that you want to purchase the Annihilation Sect's world-burning art. The Annihilation Sect's world-burning art sells for 200 Taoist rhymes. Do you have enough Taoist rhymes on you? Not long ago, I coincidentally discovered the Taoist rhymes reserves left behind from the battle between the Star Palace and the Moon Star. After raising the level of the Primal Chaos, I still have some left. It's barely enough to exchange for saint-level cultivation resources. The Taoist rhymes reserves left behind from the battle between the Moon Star and the Star Palace? You actually found it? Back then, many almighties wanted to obtain the Star Palace's lost Taoist rhymes reserves, but they couldn't find any clues. I didn't expect it to help you in the end. You're really lucky. Exalted Heavenly Master's eyes lit up when he heard Sing Hui mention this. The Star Palace Primal Chaos organization isn't weak. Although it's not as strong as us, it's still a first-class organization. There's definitely a lot of Taoist rhymes reserved for the battle between the Primal Chaos and the Primal Chaos. You were already at the 26th level previously. After obtaining these Taoist rhymes to raise the level of the Primal Chaos. What level has your Primal Chaos reached? I was worried that I wouldn't be able to supply enough Taoist rhymes at the 30th level, so I raised it to the 29th level. The 29th level, 3 levels of the Primal Chaos. Exalted Heavenly Master's face lit up when he heard this. It's really worth celebrating to have a 29th level Son of Chaos like you when our Heavenly Master is facing a crisis. What 29th level? At this moment, a voice rang out. Exalted Master Zhu Zhao and Exalted Master Zhongzhen appeared outside the open courtyard at the same time. Hi, it's Pak Hui. By chance, Pak Hui obtained the Star Palace's Taoist rhymes for the battle between the Primal Chaos and raised her Primal Chaos level from the 26th level to the 29th level in one go. Exalted Heavenly Master said with a smile, the worry on his face vanishing. What? This kid's Primal Chaos level has reached the 29th level. Exalted Master Zhongzhen's eyes widened as his gaze kept tracing Tsing Hui's body. Even Exalted Master Zhu Zhao, an invincible saint powerhouse, was slightly moved. Exalted Heavenly Master took in their expressions and glanced at Tsing Hui. He pondered for a moment and suggested, a 29th level Son of Chaos. In our Heavenly Master, only Master Zhu Zhao and I have reached this level. Do you think we should just put him in the first echelon in the battle between the Primal Chaos? Chapter 351. Put Pak Hui in the first echelon of the War of Chaos? Exalted being Zhu Zhao looked pensive. On the other hand, Master Zhongzhen hurriedly said, no. Although Bai Su is 29 at the chaotic stage, his cultivation, abilities, and mental strength are far too low. If he's really placed in the first echelon, a sword intent from a peak expert from the other side would be enough to eliminate him during a war between the chaotic stage. That would be a waste of a spot. Esteemed being Zhu Zhao nodded slightly when he heard Master Zhongzhen mention that. Bai Su's cultivation is still a little weak in the end. If his mental strength could reach level 100 or even level 90, we could consider it, but isn't it easy to let him grow quickly? Although the Heavenly Tao, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternals have the intention to clear the place, they have yet to take action. Judging from the fact that the Divine Wilderness is still using our Sky Dome hand to scheme against the Heavenly Tao, it will take at least 3 to 5 years for them to truly come to an agreement to clear the place. I can personally make a trip to the Eastern Wasteland and bring him here. Then, one of you can take some time to personally bring him to the Refining God Pavilion to properly sharpen the strength of his soul and raise the level of his mind. In 3 to 5 years, it shouldn't be difficult for his mind to reach level 90. At that time, our Sky Dome hand will naturally have another powerful general. You want to go to the Eastern Wilderness? Your incarnation technique is only at the first level. Even if your cultivation is strong and your divine soul is powerful, it will still take 2 to 3 months for you to recover. Now is a critical time. Any divine realm expert is important to us. If Zhu Zhao is entangled with someone, the other side's divine realm experts will take the opportunity to kill him. We can't protect you at all. It's too risky. Esteemed Zhongzhen hurriedly said. Then we can only change the method. Esteemed Zhongzhen rubbed his forehead. Send someone to bring Pak Hui here. If a powerful expert comes, he can go through the outer sea area in a straight line and take my mysterious light shuttle. He can reach the Eastern Wilderness in 1.5 years. A round trip will take him 3 years. This method is feasible. If Pak Hui can go to the Infinite Wasteland domain, he will be taught better than those from the Eastern Wasteland domain. He won't need to spend extra money when buying resources. Master Zhongzhen nodded and then turned his gaze to Tsing Hui. The key to this matter was whether Tsing Hui was willing or not. Tsing Hui could feel that the current Heaven Wasteland domain was a huge whirlpool. If he rashly stepped into this whirlpool with his cultivation base that had not yet reached the Saint Realm, he would most likely be shredded to pieces. Even if he had the protection of Zhongzhen Esteemed Master, Zhu Zhao Esteemed Master, Firmament Esteemed Master and other experts, it was impossible for them to follow him all the time. If he really went to Heaven Wasteland domain, the degree of danger would increase 10-fold or even 100-fold. However, the transmission skill to return to the Earth world had been proven to be a failure. If he wanted to cultivate to the vacuum-shattering realm as soon as possible, it was imperative for him to go to Heaven Wasteland domain and get good guidance and many resources from there. Even if he did not go to the Eastern Wasteland domain now, he would have to go after 3 to 5 years when his cultivation base reached the Transcendent Realm. Since there was an opportunity now, he really did not want to miss it. I'm willing to go to Heaven Wasteland Domain. Please arrange it. Master Zhangzhen esteemed master, Zhu Zhao esteemed master and the others heard this and pondered for a while. In the end, Zhu Zhao esteemed master said, "At present, there are more than 30 powerful experts in the firmament domain, but there are only a few of them that we can truly trust. For safety's sake, I'd better let Broken Sword go." Letting Broken Sword go can indeed ensure that nothing goes wrong. Then let's arrange it this way. As Zhu Zhao esteemed master spoke, his gaze fell on Xinghui. You should tell him a little about your affairs in the Eastern Wasteland. If there are no accidents, Broken Sword will arrive in the Eastern Wasteland domain in 1.5 years. At that time, you can directly return with him. Okay. Also, how do you arrange the characteristics of the 29 levels of chaos and what you're good at? Later, you need to tell us in detail so that we can make detailed arrangements. After all, different battlefields require different levels of chaos. The 1,000 Taoist rhymes we have stored are targeted to the changes of the battlefields. Xinghui nodded. I understand. I'll hand it over later. At this moment, the venerable Master Zhangzhen suddenly said, since Qing Su is willing to join the first echelon, and we plan on nurturing him as a candidate for the first echelon, then can he be like us in the first echelon and have the right to enjoy a certain privilege of our heaven's dome for free? Zhangzhen esteemed master was slightly startled, but then he smiled. Indeed, Pak Hui, the echelon members of the Battle of Chaos are actually the same as us, the core members. In addition, you can also get a free privilege. Next, you can also choose from many privileges, such as reading all the books in the Sutra Pavilion for free, using the Refining God Pavilion for free, cultivating on the Great Sun Core for free, using the Pool of Truth for free, and so on. Of course, you still need to prepare some necessities. For example, you still need to line up in the Refining God Pavilion. If you want to recover your vital essence in the Pool of Truth, you still need to take elixirs to replenish it. As for the Great Sun Core, if you want to bring back the things you cultivate there, you still need to use the golden blood and so on. Hearing this, Xinghui's eyes lit up. There are such benefits? There are more than 30 privileges, big and small. Take a look and see which one you want to choose. As Zhangzhen esteemed master spoke, he handed a jade talisman to Xinghui. In fact, these privileges are not only available to you, you can also transfer them to others. Of course, once you transfer them to others, you won't be able to use them yourself. For example, the privilege of the Refining God Pavilion is basically useless to cultivators like us whose spiritual level is more than 100. It's more efficient to give it to juniors who are favored. No, I choose the right to cultivate on the Great Sun Core. Yes, this is also a privilege that is more suitable for your current situation. However, although this privilege is good, there are many limitations. In the future, if you want to bestow it to a certain junior, he must also awaken the Golden Crow bloodline. As the Firmament Master spoke, he glanced at Zhangzhen Exalted Master and Zhu Zhao Exalted Master. Although this is just a formality, since the rules have been set, they must be obeyed. Now, I intend to grant Bai Su the authority and the right to cultivate in the core of the Great Sun for free. Do you two have any objections? No. Zhangzhen esteemed master and Zhu Zhao esteemed master nodded. Then, Zhangzhen esteemed master turned to Xinghui. In the next moment, Xinghui felt an indescribable change between him and the entire world. In the Sky Dome realm, if he wanted to go somewhere, he didn't need to hurry. He only needed to borrow the power of the world to teleport himself there. Even if he wanted to cultivate on the Great Sun Core, he could do so easily with the help of the world's teleportation power. He didn't need to borrow the power of Zhangzhen esteemed master. Is this the magical ability of a world lord to control one's own world? Xinghui felt the connection between himself and the Sky Dome realm and said in surprise. Although my personal space has been upgraded to level 10 and has become a personal world, it is still created with the help of the Chaos Shrine. It is said that if an expert at the peak of the Saint Realm can create a world with a thought, their world will be exactly the same as the outside world. Not only can they have the power to topple mountains and overturn seas in their own world, but they can also borrow the power of the world to help them understand the mysteries of heaven and earth and understand the wonders of nature. It has incredible benefits for the breakthrough of the green darkness realm and the derivation of divine power. It is because of the existence of experts who can create a world with a thought that there is no gap between the divine power realm and the golden core realm. Song Zhen, esteemed master, couldn't help but shake his head. There were countless golden core realm experts in the entire Tianhuang region, let alone in the continents outside of Tianhuang region. However, the number of divine power realm experts was decreasing. It was just like the awakening realm experts in the blood transformation realm in small places. Out of 100 blood transformation realm cultivators, there would be less than one awakening realm expert. It was the same for the divine power realm experts in the Tianhuang region. This was also the reason why divine power realm experts were respected as divine power realm experts. Pak Hui, I have already discussed the deal with the Annihilation Sect. The Annihilation Sect has also completed the arrangements. Since it is a deal of 200 Taoist rhymes, they will specially send a cultivator with the incarnation technique. When you are ready, give your spiritual imprint to the people of the Annihilation Sect, and the Annihilation Sect will immediately make the arrangements. At this moment, esteemed Master Zhu Zhao said to Tsing Hui, "You have already discussed it? I will go prepare the spiritual imprint now." Tsing Hui's face was filled with joy. With the world-burning art and the qualification to cultivate at the core of the Great Sun for free, he could not wait to try to raise his cultivation to the peak of the prominent divine realm, condense the primordial realm, and step into the saint realm. All right, since you are still here, I will make a trip to the Annihilation Sect again. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao waited for a moment, and Tsing Hui had already given him a spiritual imprint. As esteemed Master Zhu Zhao's figure faded, he soon appeared again. It has been discussed. The Annihilation Sect's expert with the incarnation technique will arrive in 2 hours. If you need to change your location and hide your identity, prepare immediately. Tsing Hui nodded. Then I will take my leave first. Go, I'll get Savage Sword to contact you. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao said. Thank you, esteemed master. Immediately, Tsing Hui's figure faded and disappeared from the mountain peak. Seeing Tsing Hui leave, esteemed Master Zhu Zhao and esteemed Master Zhang looked at each other awkwardly. Seeing this, esteemed Master Zhang Qiong laughed and joked, "Are you regretting it now? He's a 29th level son of chaos. Even though I don't know how his various special abilities are arranged, the amplification from his 29 special abilities alone is enough to make him not inferior to any of the top experts on Heaven Wasteland domain. If either of you accepts him as your disciple, you may be able to personally nurture an almighty expert in the future." Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao heard this and just shook his head with a smile, not arguing with him on this topic. Esteemed Master Zhang glared at esteemed Master Zhu Zhao. "It's all your fault, you misled him. Isn't it more appropriate for the two of us to teach him cultivation together? Perhaps, with the advantages of the two of us, he may be able to surpass us in the future. Is the so-called master-disciple relationship so important?" Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao said. Esteemed Master Zhang thought for a moment and nodded. The master-disciple relationship is indeed nothing. It is his fortune to be taught by the two of us. I hope this kid will not disappoint us in the future. Hearing the change in attitude between the two of them, Song Qiong just smiled. When Song Qiong was about to face the crisis of the Chaos War, the appearance of a 29th rank son of chaos like Tsing Hui was enough to make him feel better. Chapter 352. The people of the Annihilation Sect were very efficient. When Tsing Hui stood on a nameless island and waited for less than half an hour, Yuan Qi began to swirl in the void. Not long after, a figure condensed from endless Yuan Qi appeared. It was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. Although he was only an ordinary incarnation, there was a destructive will that emanated from his body from time to time, which still made Tsing Hui's expression turn serious. This was an expert who had perfected his destructive will. He only needed to take one more step forward to condense his own force. And force. It was said that it was the predecessor of a domain, and possessed some of the characteristics of a domain. Many cultivators who were stuck at the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth realm and could not step into the divine realm, not only did they not have enough energy to condense a domain, but also the degree of manifestation of their mental will was not enough to reach the level of force. It was similar to Dongqian, who only took 100 years to cultivate sword force and 300 years to cultivate a domain. Even in the divine wilderness era, an expert could be called a top genius. Mental fluctuations are the same. It seems that you are my transaction target. The man sized up Tsing Hui and said, "Have you prepared your Tao-carrying objects? They are ready, please take a look." Tsing Hui said as he took out many Tao-carrying objects, which had a total of 200 Tao rhythms. Esteemed Zhu Zhao was in charge of this transaction, so he naturally did not have to worry about any problems. Esteemed Zhu Zhao was one of the top 10 invincible giants in the entire Heaven Wasteland world. In terms of one-on-one combat, there was probably no one in the entire Annihilation sect who could be a match for esteemed Zhu Zhao. In the face of such a person, even the Annihilation sect would not offend him over a fair transaction of 200 Tao rhythms. It really is 200 Tao rhythms. The man glanced at the Tao-carrying objects that Tsing Hui took out, and looked at Tsing Hui with some surprise. "I didn't expect a prominent divine realm cultivator like you to have so many Tao-carrying objects. It's amazing. I'm just lucky." Luck. Sometimes luck is more important than strength. The man sighed. After he had put away all of Tsing Hui's Tao-carrying objects, he said in a low voice, "Concentrate and calm your qi." In the next moment, he had already pointed his finger. Instantly, countless images appeared in Tsing Hui's spiritual world. The silhouette of a golden crow grew up from its infancy, and the power in its body kept changing and growing. In the end, it even evolved into a huge sun that exploded with endless brilliance. The entire inheritance lasted for 30 minutes. During this time, even though the middle-aged man had used more than 80% of his spiritual strength and displayed a perfect level of sword essence, he still looked pale and weak after passing on the cultivation method. The inheritance of a cultivation technique was extremely taxing on one's mind. This was also the reason why the inheritance of a cultivation technique could not be carried out in the Chaos Shrine. All right. If you don't believe in this technique, you can ask them for confirmation. All right, I've exhausted too much of my spirit, so I'll have to take my leave. I hope you remember the conditions of the Annihilation sect. After the true energy realm, every time you break through a new realm, you'll have to pass on your cultivation experience to the Annihilation sect. I understand. Thank you, senior. Tsing Hui cupped his hands at the middle-aged man. It's just my duty. Goodbye. After the man finished speaking, he did not say anything more to Tsing Hui. As a matter of fact, if it were not for the Reverend Zhu Zhao who had stepped forward to facilitate this deal, he might not have even wasted his breath on Qing Su. As the deal ended, his figure directly dissipated, turning into a violent torrent of vitality that swept in all directions. This torrent of vitality was mixed with a powerful spiritual attack. If it had not been Tsing Hui standing next to him, but an ordinary cultivator in the mortal realm, this spiritual attack alone would have been enough to completely annihilate their spiritual consciousness. True and ordinary inheritances are also very taxing on the cultivator's body. After the man left, Tsing Hui closed his eyes and carefully comprehended the cultivation method. In less than a while, Qing Su suddenly snapped open his eyes. There was a sliver of joy on his face. World-burning technique. World-burning technique. The reason why the world-burning technique is so difficult to cultivate is actually because of this. This technique is definitely one of the most suitable techniques for me among all the Golden Crow cultivation techniques. This technique actually simulates the growth process of an infant Golden Crow, and even ultimately evolves into a real sun wheel in the body to prepare the power of a sun. However, just like how Sword Master Bai Heng's Sword of the Sun Glory went in the wrong direction, the concept of the world-burning technique also went wrong. They only understood the process of energy fission, but did not understand that the true energy of the sun came from fusion. It is precisely because of this that at the last moment, when this technique evolves into a great sun and forms a remarkable ability or lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, it will fail at the last moment. The power will go berserk, and in the end it will be burned to ashes by the unstoppable flames in the body. Xing Hui muttered to himself, "The sun." Although the cultivators of this world could come into contact with some things related to the sun, they were ultimately unable to come into contact with the real sun. Even if their cultivation was high, there was a powerful 9 heavens astral wind in the sky. It was said that even domain realm experts could not rely on their own strength to fly through the 9 heavens astral wind. Only those who had the ability to shatter the vacuum could directly break through the void to leave this world and come into contact with the resplendent sun hanging in the sky. Unfortunately, ever since the divine wilderness was shattered, there were no longer any experts who had reached the level of shattering the vacuum in this world. Even if someone like esteemed Zhu Zhao could temporarily raise his strength to the level of shattering the vacuum with the help of divine arts, he would not dare to travel through space because the power of the space turbulence was too tyrannical. Over time, no one had been able to understand the truth behind the formation of the sun. The method of condensing vital essence recorded in the world-burning art is extremely brilliant. It directly uses the collision and friction between vital essence and vital essence to cleanse the impurities in it. The remaining vital essence is tempered thousands of times to form vital essence. This method is extremely taxing on the body, and the consumption is also very exaggerated. If the vital essence collides with each other in one's body, the vital essence may go berserk and the tendons and meridians may be broken. But my recovery ability has reached the 10th level. Not to mention the berserk vital essence and the broken tendons and meridians, as long as I don't die, I can gradually recover no matter how serious my injuries are. As for the next realm, the transformative realm, Xing Hui, who had mastered the method of condensing vital essence, only needed to get used to the condensed vital essence for a while before he could step into the transformative realm. To him, this realm was the easiest out of the 6 realms of saints. The only problem now is cultivation. The Golden Crow vital essence is currently at the middle stage of the prominent divine stage. I'll go to the core of the sun immediately and cultivate my vital essence to the peak of the prominent divine stage. After that, I'll directly break through to the true energy realm. Xing Hui immediately made up his mind and quickly flew in the direction of the Life League. For safety's sake, he naturally had to change his appearance slightly. Furthermore, he had to do the transaction at a place that was a distance away from the Life Moon Alliance. This was to prevent the Annihilation Sect member from finding out his identity in the real world and blackmailing him. After landing in the Life League, Xing Hui immediately wanted to return to the Chaos Temple and enter the Sky Dome. However, before he entered the Chaos Temple, he thought of something and quickly calmed down. I need to integrate the special techniques I have and the characteristics of the Chaos level and inform the Sky Dome Masters so that it'll be easier for them to make arrangements in the future war against the Chaos level. I'll tell them that my Chaos level is level 29. Furthermore, the Sky Dome Master and the rest know that I have a level 5 personal space. Based on the abilities I plan to upgrade in the future, then I should report this level 29. Xing Hui did some calculations in his mind and quickly came up with the report of the characteristics of the Chaos level. Recovery level 10, Comprehension level 5, Personal Space level 5, Divine Technique level 2, Transformation Technique level 4, and the rest were a series of skills such as the Appraisal Technique. Very quickly, he sorted out these characteristics and memorized them in his mind. Next, it's the techniques that I've mastered. During the war against the Chaos level, the bodies that cultivators bring with them only have the most basic abilities. Perhaps they won't be of much use in battle, but some of the immortal techniques that I've mastered can be quite useful at times. For example, the Spirit Wanderer Air Control Technique, Qi turning 3 pure ones, and so on. After pondering for a while, Xing Hui selectively wrote down a few of these immortal techniques. After completing the description of these immortal techniques, he returned to the Sky Dome realm and handed the information to the Sky Dome Master. These abilities are quite mysterious. Under certain circumstances, they should be able to be of great use. The master in the sky glanced at him and nodded. Afterwards, he said to Ching Su, "Even though I'll be setting off for the eastern wastelands very soon, it'll probably take 3 years for the return trip. Don't waste this time. You need to properly temper your mind and do your best to raise it to a higher level." "I understand. I'll first raise my cultivation to the true energy realm. Once I reach the true energy realm, with my understanding of the Qi-turning void technique, I'll naturally step into the transformative realm. At that time, I'll focus on polishing my mind and try my best to raise its level before the broken sword arrives in the eastern wilderness." "All right." As the Sky Dome Master spoke, he seemed to have thought of something. With a wave of his hand, a box and a pearl appeared in his hand. "If you want to use the core of the Great Sun to raise your cultivation, you must have the golden blood and the dazzling sun pearl. Furthermore, the higher your cultivation, the more golden blood you will need. I have 6 portions of golden blood here. I hope it will help you smoothly step into the peak of the prominent divine realm." Xing Hui was originally thinking of borrowing some golden blood from Zheng Exalted. When he saw the jade box that the Sky Dome Master took out, he did not decline. "Many thanks, Sky Dome Master. This golden blood is indeed very important to my cultivation. Alright, time is of the essence. Go quickly." "Yes," Xing Hui replied. His body flashed and he quickly traveled. Soon, he arrived at the core of the Great Sun looking at the golden crow divine beast that was swimming close to him. Xing Hui's eyes flashed with a trace of emotion. Seeing the true body of the golden crow divine beast with his own eyes was indeed of great help to his cultivation. Otherwise, it would not be so easy for him to condense the divine grade golden crow combat body. Collecting his thoughts, Xing Hui quickly activated the dazzling sun pearl and quickly entered into cultivation. He needed to raise his cultivation to the peak of the prominent divine realm as soon as possible. Then, he would constantly polish his qi and use the art of world burning to guide his qi to collide and refine it. Finally, it would have a qualitative change and step into the true energy realm. After reaching the true energy realm, he only needed to accumulate enough qi. Then, he would naturally step into the transformative realm. Everything was just a matter of time. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.